Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to start Wrath proper. There it is.
My son, the day you were born, the very forests of Lordaeron whispered the name Arthas. Child, I watched with pride as you grew into a weapon of righteousness. Remember, our line has always ruled with wisdom and strength. And I know you will show restraint when exercising your great power. Truest victory, my son, is stirring the hearts of your people. I tell you this, for when my days have come to an end, you shall be king.
I'm thinking like 5, 6 negatives. I don't know. What are we thinking? What are we feeling? Everything about that. Two negatives. Has the greatest video game trailer of all time. Has anything surpassed it? I actually think that there is a better cinematic in WoW. One. But no, in all joking aside, writing, music, sound, animation, they turbo nailed it with that. Yeah, Pandaria. I think the Pandaria cinematic is better, but like, as I am so often fond of saying, we're at that point we're talking about inches amongst miles. These are some of the best cinematics ever made in history. So, who cares, right? Hitman, Blood Money R, Mercenaries 2, Double Agent. Oh, Splinter Cell, Double Agent. I'll put that down in the pile because that actually game hasn't been added yet. And thank you, Ect, as always. So yeah, no, I feel silly even explaining how incredibly good of a cutscene that is. It's more than a triple cutscene because of course it freaking is, right? Like I don't even know what to add to that. Cutscene be good, yo. Today we're starting with this guy. Hang on, so I need my sound. Let's just turn this off here. You know what? Actually, hang on. Let's do this properly. Let's actually go hop on a mage. Yeah, no, it tells you everything about what's to come. There's a lot of exposition about Arthas, or more accurately, the second Lich King, Sindragosa, the Scourge. A lot of his motivation is present on display there. Yep, these trailers are in the game, and we can give them positive. Oh, thank you, Ezreal. Actually, I put a lot of thought into several of these names. The term warband is just a branding name for BOA. In other words, bind on account. The concept of BOA goes back to like Wrath, I want to say. Wrath or Kata. It's an old concept. But yeah, they started calling it warband so they could just start labeling a warband, right? Like Magic the Gathering, right? They added the, what do they call that? The hotkey system of MTG. Sorry, I literally just want to turn on the sound. Name 3, Huthor. Okay, now we got all our sound going. So hang on, writing, music direction. You know what? I'm going to add one more. Voice acting. So, without further ado. So BFA, do not agree on that one. War Within, don't even remember that one. Warlords, I'll give you that one.
A hero. That's what you once were. You stood boldly against the shadow and purchased another dawn for the world with your life. But the evil you fought is not so easily banished. The victory you claimed, not so easily held. For now, the specter of death looms above the world yet again, and it has found new champions to bring about its final reign. Knights of darkness, wielding runes of death and destruction, bound by the will of the Lich King. This is the hour of their ascension. This is the hour of your dark rebirth.
So, some of them are Lord Aramont. Not all of them. First of all, I just love that line. Purchasing another dawn with your life. I just wanted to share that really quick. So while I'm doing this, yeah, obviously the Death Knight starter zone is rather well known for being considered one of the better starter zones of the game. Allow me to disagree with that. I think of all of the unique starter zones, it's actually the worst. And you'll see kind of why as we go through it. I've been through this recently, actually, because I helped a friend of mine make a Death Knight just a few months ago. But when Wrath came out, this was mind-blowing. And I can see why so many people still to this day have so many fond memories of this. Frankly, so do I. And yeah, hang on, I was going to get to that, but yes. You'll notice that quite literally the first NPC we see, first actual NPC, is the Lich King. Right out the gate. Sorry, give me a moment. Just getting everything all set up. This actually doesn't take me long. I've got everything nice and templated at this point in time, so I can just onboard a new character pretty quickly. Although I made one mistake. I could fix that pretty easily, though. Yeah, hey, sir, can I get an autograph, sir, please? Why do you seek an autograph with death? Sir, please, I'm a big fan, really. That. That. That should be it. Nope, not quite. There we go. Also, so let's talk about all the things they do right here. First and foremost, we've already talked about this, but the Lich King is right there. He's actually your very first quest giver. To be clear, I agree with Cloden. Putting the Lich King front and center right at the beginning was absolutely the right call. It is, in fact, as we've talked about before, it was something they did in direct and immediate reaction to the fact that Illidan had so little presence back in BC. Now, what's funny about that is, as we've talked about, Illidan was basically not even the main villain of BC. But I wouldn't blame you for not knowing that because of how little presence he had. So, hey, there's the second Lich King. And let's be clear, he is the central villain of this. Yogg-Saron totally thinks he's the central villain, but, we'll have a chat with him. Arguably, the main villain of BC is Bethelion the Calculator. But what they really wanted it to be was Kael'thas, who himself was being puppeted by Kil'jaeden. But the Lich King is actually the main villain here, no question. Second of all, music. So obviously, WoW has always had good music. Duh. But they really threw themselves into the music of Acheris in particular, which is this, the necropoli we're currently inside of. And we'll have some decent songs down there too when we get there. But so we've got good music, really setting the tone. We've got decent visuals. This is still older era stuff, but they've got good stuff. And of course, we've got these weird, I don't even know what these things are. This is actually our first introduction to the Valkyr. We will talk a lot about these over quite a bit of time. So, a lot of it is actually remixed from Naxxramas. You know how Cataclysm remixed a lot of vanilla music? Or how Auchindoun remixed Diablo 2 music? Same concept. So, like, same instruments and a lot of the same concepts, but rejiggered a bit. I didn't know that myself until I was collecting my giant archive of Warcraft music. And I started listening to the two songs side by side because I thought the exact same thing. And I started to notice the differences. There's not many, I'm not going to lie, but there are differences there. And yes, we come up about to the Lich King's shin.
Bow to your master.
So that's the new voice of the Lich King. When I first heard it, I was a little upset about it. For those of you not aware, the Lich King actually did have a voice actor, or more accurately, two voice actors, back in vanilla. When you got to the very end of Naxxramas, which remember was originally back in vanilla, you would reach a point where Kel'Thuzad was talking to the second Lich King. I don't think he was actually the second Lich King at the time, but let's ignore that for the moment. And they had two separate actors talking at the same time to make the voice of the vanilla Lich King. So they replaced that completely and just had one person voice him here. And can I just say, Blizzard has always done decent voice modulation. I mean, the Protoss, enough said. But the modulation they do on the Lich King, which I can actually tell you in specifics of how they do it, I'm not going to bore you with it right now, is very smart and very well done. They actually properly echo only parts of his voice. So you're only hearing the modulation on certain frequencies of the voice. And the voice itself is being done by Michael McConaughey, who is awesome and does a fantastic job of it. So his voice is extremely iconic. In fact, I don't even have to read this out loud. Do you know why?
Go forth and defile these lands. Vengeance I bestow upon you, my chosen knight. I have granted you immortality, so that you may herald in a new, dark age for the Scourge. Gaze now upon the lands below us. The Scarlet Crusade scurries to undo my work, while Light's hope stands defiantly against us, a blemish upon these plague lands. They must all be shown the price of their defiance. You will house of retribution. Where you tread, doom will follow. Go now and claim your destiny, Death Knight.
So, what I find most interesting about all that, as we'll find out much later, most of what he just said is a lie. But, and I know this is going to sound strange, the second Lich King in many ways is a bit of a populist. He likes to really, you know... What's going on with my lighting? What the hell is going on with that? He's a showboater, and he really likes to build up the, to amp up his minions. You will go, and you will serve as my will, blah, blah, blah. He also, generally speaking, doesn't threaten his own people. Now, you're probably thinking, what? Because he does do it a couple of times, but for the most part, he doesn't. And I've always found that amusing, because you might think, oh, it means he's a better person. No, it's because he doesn't need to threaten you. You know exactly what the consequences are if you fail him. He doesn't need to wield the hammer for you to know that it's there, right? So, that's a good question, Spartan. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Since this is not actually a lore run, I didn't go and reread some of those books for the purposes of this. So, I don't know. Yeah, let's finish setting our bar really quick here. Oh, yes, this is all part of the jailer's plan. Someone go murder Huthor for me. Just really quick. Just really quick. Won't be long. Won't be long. Yeah, just get rid of some of these things here. Way. But yes, in the interest of fairness, I should mention that the jailer's behind all of this. And always has been. He's behind absolutely everything. He's always been manipulating millions and billions of years of all history across all planets forever. So that we could show up and kick his ass. Here we go, that's what I was doing. God, I was just sitting there like, what am I doing? And we'll go with this one here. Oops, nope, it says excellent act. In all and total honesty, Magister, your guess is as good as mine. To be completely frank, I'm not even sure that the writers know. Yep, and then auto. I already got auto loot. We're good. We're good. I'm not joking. They have left so much about the jailer vague that your guess really is as good as mine.
What?
You've heard the call of the Lich King, Death Knight. Now it's time to answer your master.
Suffer well.
The single most important piece of equipment to a Death Knight is the Rune Blade. It is through the Rune Blade a Death Knight commands the power of Frost, Blood, and Unholy. The Rune Blade also acts as a vessel to store the Death Knight's runic power. The time has come to create your first Rune Blade. Search the weapon racks and locate a battle-worn sword. Once found, take the sword to a nearby rune forge and use it to create a Rune Blade.
Leave me be.
Actually, Huthor is correct. One of the only things they ever did right about the jailer was they actually detached him from the second Lich King. Now, they didn't codify that, because it was the writing of Shadowlands, and the writing of Shadowlands is where writing goes to die. But at the very least, we know that there's a separation there. So I can talk about the second Lich King all day long, but then I actually have any talk about the jailer. Thank God. In fact, I don't really have to talk about the jailer until, I'd say, about Shadowlands, because even though he's technically there in BFA, he might as well not be.
We press on.
The Rune Blade is an extension of your being. A Death Knight cannot be in battle without a Rune Blade. Now, this is a really minor touch. Did you notice that right there we got one of the principal let's call it philosophies of the Scourge in that first quest. What is going on with my interface?
Ashes to ashes.
Some problems with this earlier too. Go to all this stuff, see if that helps anything. Heh. Yeah, I'll give you that, Uthor. Who we also will not talk about until Shadowlands. So while we're here, since that's buggy as hell.
It is good that you serve me so faithfully. Soon all will serve the Lich King. And in the end, you shall be rewarded. So long as you do not falter.
So, if you're missing that, that's a guy doing Arthas's voice and a guy doing an orc voice at the same time. This was the original Lich King voice.
Your security measures have failed. See to this interruption immediately. Very well. Warriors of the frozen wastes, rise up. I command you to fight, kill, and die for your master. Let none survive.
You get what they were going for, but yeah, the new version is just better in every way. Good morning, Blade 12. We'll see, Luke. We'll see. Reborn, I should become an instrument of doom. The Lich King will be pleased with this initiate. So let's get into storytelling. I know a lot of people who completely skipped over a lot of the storytelling that's going on in this zone. Shame on you. Shame. But in all honesty, for once I can't actually blame that on Blizzard, because most of the storytelling's right here. There are tons and tons of bodies, and Resuvius and his necromancers are going through, periodically raising people. Some of them get up and are found acceptable. So Resuvius will give them a little speech, listen for the voice of your master, he calls to you, stand and be measured, and go. The other ones, well, they're not acceptable. He has the ghouls eat them alive. And then they move on to the next person. There's also several Scarlet Crusader prisoners who are there. It's kind of hanging out. Don't worry about them. They're fine. They're fine. And then there's the little subtle tip I mentioned earlier, which forgive me for not going into too much more. So, one of the central primary principles of the Scourge is recycling. I know that sounds really strange to phrase that way, but it's true. The Scourge don't invent anything. It's actually a policy of theirs to not invent anything. All they do is try to remix, reuse, and recycle everything else around them. So, for example, That's why we go and we find all these old, battered, broken weapons, and that becomes our new rune blade. We don't make a new one, we grab a pre-existing one.
You need something?
The rune blade is an extension of your being. A Death Knight cannot exist without a rune blade.
We will have our revenge.
Well done. You have successfully created your first rune-bladed weapon. With it you will sow the seeds of chaos and destruction. In your wake will be a bloodied field of battle, littering the corpses of all who would dare oppose the Scourge.
Suffer well.
Here. The mark of war is etched indelibly upon your soul, Death Knight. You have learned the dark art of rune forging, and with it you will engrave runes of power upon your weapon. Preparations for battle must be made. Return to one of the rune forges, and use the power of rune forging to emblaze your weapon with a rune of power. Rune, 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 rune.
Ashes to ashes.
And in answer to Blade Taval's question, he wanders back and forth between the other pile of corpses and this pile of corpses, and periodically he'll stop and do a cutscene. There's actually several variants of that cutscene. We'll go ahead and do Crusader, because of course. And we're going to two-handed, because of course. There we go. Oh, here we go. I think it's about to do it. This one. Where am I? What is this place? Another failure. You have been measured and found wanting. Dispose of it. Yes, instructor. Rise, minions, rise and feast the weak. Oh, you thought I was joking, didn't you?
What?
Remember these words, Death Knight. The Rune Forge is a Scourge instrument. It exists only in Akros and certain locations in Icecrown. You can only emblazon your weapons at a Rune Forge. That's why we got that teleport. Return often and emblaze all your weapons. A Death Knight must be prepared for all who would dare oppose them.
We are done.
The endless hunger will soon take hold of you, Death Knight. When it does, you will feel pain immeasurable. There's only one remedy for the suffering. The hunger must be sated. I give you the key to your salvation. Chained to the heart of Akros are those deemed unworthy of the Dark Brotherhood. Use the key to free an unworthy initiate. Allow them to equip themselves and battle you for their freedom. Kill, and the pain will cease. Fail, and suffer for eternity. Live or die. The choice is yours to make.
Tomorrow is another day.
Now, this is another very Scourge kind of a thing. These people have been told something pretty similar to what we were just told. You are stuck here to be chained and suffering. However, if you manage to beat someone who comes over to beat you, you will be given a new chance instead of them. What's really messed up about all of this is you have to understand none of this is necessary. Something I banged on about for years, and everyone's like, no, Lord, you're dumb and you're wrong, and then I was right, is that the second Lich King has direct control over every single undead on the planet simultaneously. It's probably the single biggest thing that makes him a threat. Not the rune blade, not the helmet, not the, the tremendous magical power he commands, not his endurance. No. It's the fact that he has that level of control at all times. So he doesn't need to have these little games, right? He doesn't need to have these systems in place. He just does. Anyways, let's see. Let's kill a dwarf. Oh no, he can... Oh, actually, I have no idea he can feel what they feel, but he can read their thoughts and control their thoughts completely and totally. It is, in fact, a form of domination. Yeah, exactly. The irony is it's really easy for anybody who's ever actually familiar with Warcraft to understand what the Lich King's doing. He's playing an RTS. He has total control over all his units, no matter where they are on the map.
Make it quick.
As expected, my chosen knight has triumphed. You are ready, Marrowfrost.
There's work to be done.
Behold, Acheris, the grand citadel of death. It has no equal in the world. Not even the mighty Noxoramus could withstand a direct assault from the Death Hold. Looming above the face of the necropolis is an all-seeing eye of Acheris. From it, the Master is able to see great distances into the territories held by our enemies. What the eye sees, the Lich King sees, and now it's time for you to peer through the eye.
Leave me.
And then, even in that tiny line right there, it's implied what I just told you. He can see through the eye because the eye is dead. He wants you to go see through the eye. ... And yeah, exactly what I'm talking about. Even you, Sylvanas. Okay, so we'll put this over here. Put that there. Sorry. Yeah, we'll talk about Noxoramus when we get there. Let's do some reading. Let's do some light reading, shall we? That sounds like fun. Report from the front lines. Undercity. Our sources inside the Undercity report the Horde is mobilizing to stage an assault on Northrend. The Horde troops, most of whom are returning from deployment to Outland, are gathering and preparing to strike at the Ice Crown. Furthermore, covert agents report the Forsaken's Royal Apothecary Society has ramped up activity lately. While nothing is confirmed at this point, rumors fly the Society has had a breakthrough in their plague research. This is only hearsay, but all forces are advised to give the Forsaken alchemists a wide berth. Behold the finest of ironies. The living ascribe unto undeath all the most sickly attributes of their own lives. Hopeless servitude, savagery, stillness of the spirit. We serve. The living serve too, though they serve kings, warlords, druids, priests, gods, men, beasts. We serve only the mighty, unifying will of the Lich King, which compels us into prosperity and unity. For all the endeavors of men, there exist only endless records of tragedy, cruelty, betrayal, and selfishness. For the Scourge, there is only efficiency and totality. Serve in life or serve in death. His is a way of choice whose roads lead only to fulfillment. Cold in flesh, but warmed by unity, the mighty Scourge are one nation and one mind and one being. True cold dwells in the heartless gaze of the Guard, who turns away sickly refugees from their neighboring country in a time of war. Are not all men of one kind? Nay, divided in their icy hearts. Raise high our ideals and bring low our foes. Fold their broken into our number, until all serve the frozen throne. Plus a story. Jesus Christ, these books. There's a few of these, and all of these are just a treat. Several people missed these, too. By the way, obviously, you know, I could talk a lot about that. And yeah, almost everything goes said there's a lie. But it's so easy to see why people fell for it. Remember, the Cult of the Damned, which is the original grouping of what would eventually become the Scourge. I guess that's a lie. The Cult of the Damned, we'll just stop that. The Cult of the Damned got started by a whole bunch of people who were disillusioned by the world around them. The Second War hit, smashed and destroyed the economies and lives of millions of people. Left a huge swath of mess in its wake. And then, all of a sudden, the nations are struggling to even keep people fed. Most nations started turning insular. Several of the major polities actually started breaking apart. The elves walked away from the humans for the most part. Like, it was a whole mess. Then Kil'Thuzad goes around and starts saying, hey, you know, wouldn't it be better if there was a different way? A better way? And he knew all the right things to say, too. I do want to do this one first. Death's breach in the Eastern Kingdoms. Instructor Resuvia spoke out earlier this week, reiterating his policy on mutiny and insubordination. Any Death Knight who dares desert the Scourge will meet a fate worse than death. Their suffering will see no end. I will see to it personally. Yep, gotta spend tons of money keeping those orcs interned. Why don't we just kill them? They're orcs, they're not even people. Can we just murder those people? No? Okay, well I guess we'll just saddle ourselves with that. And this is, I don't think they ever say this, but this is heavily implied as well. They were probably also footing the bill to get Stormwind rebuilt. Why are we have so many problems at home. Why are we paying to help other people? Why are we tossing money to Ukraine? I mean to Stormwind, when we could just be sitting here spending all that money on our own problems? Rabble, 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 rabble. Welcome to the Scourge. Now that you've entered your true service, you may find immense relief in your liberation from various mortal inconveniences. No bothersome sleeping to take up your time anymore, nor any great need for shelter from the elements. You're even free from the mild irritation of cutting hair and nails. How delightful. However, there are a few almost insignificant details to being undead. Keep an eye on your rotting. Some is all well and good to scare your foes, but an arm falling off mid-stab is just embarrassing. Learn to love your stench. Some say foul, we say rawr. Avoid living animals, especially dogs. Heed your unintelligibility. Should you misplace your lower jaw, you may be reassigned to a position where your gurgling is not amiss, and few of those hold any prestige. Alcohol is simply not the same. My apologies. A bloodbath a day keeps the living away, although the bubbles is frowned upon. Avoid pastels, they just don't work with our coloring. And those pants will no longer make you look fat. It's all of them up here. Yeah, there's actually a few humorous things to the Scourge. I hope to find another one, because I'm pretty sure it's here. I know there's definitely one over there, but it's not the funny one. Yeah, that one right there. There's another one of those, so I'll go get that one. Death Knights of Akros. Jade, alive and bloodthirsty. Sixen, alive and chatty. Munch, alive and destructive. Cobalt, deceased. Fell to his death. Not much upstairs. Probably saved him a lifetime of suffering. Harmony, deceased. The name of this Death Knight was found in violation of common Scourge decency. Struck down by the Lich King. Melt, alive? Turned into a ghoul. Milton, alive. Rambles. Minotellus, alive. Seeing things that do not exist. Marrowfrost, alive. Needs more cowbell. This is my Runeblade. There are many like it, but this one's mine, by Lady Blamo. Greetings, Death Knight. By now, Instructor Resuvius has likely begun teaching you the first lessons of what it meant to be a Death Knight. Allow me to begin your instruction on what is perhaps the most guarded treasure in a Death Knight's possession, the Runeblade. Without the hand to guide it, your Runeblade is but a hollow shell. Separate, you are both powerless entities, weak and broken. Should you ever find yourself without possession of a Runeblade, know that your only task should be the acquisition of another with all due haste. As a Death Knight, it is through your Runeblade your will shall be imposed on all who dare resist the Lich King. For just as you, young Death Knight, are the extension through which the Lich King imposes his will, so is your Runeblade the instrument that has been granted the honor of delivering his authority. Of this authority, understand these principles. United, your Runeblade becomes an extension of your very body, and your body belongs to the Lich King. As one, your Runeblade becomes your will manifest in physical form, and your will is that of the Lich King. Together, your Runeblade becomes the vein through which death itself delivers to your soul, and your soul shall deliver the will of the Lich King. Through the course of your training, you may find yourself compelled to focus on some of the different disciplines of study available to our kind. On this matter, I can only say this. All are worthy of study, and to neglect some at the cost of others is a foolish pride I have seen cost other less capable Death Knights in battle their lives. It is likely that some of you may soon find your Runeblade to be a particularly potent object through which to channel your fury. However, this is not enough. Do not be content to believe your Runeblade is simply a mere tool to focus one's meditation. No, it is far more than that. The most powerful of our kind have been able to command the power of their blade with but a simple extension of their will. Together they fight of singular mind, body, and purpose to crush any foolish enough to stand in their way. Others may find their blade responds most eagerly when infused with the power of an icy chill. In this way, even the sharpest of rune blades will find themselves made even more potent. The same power that permeates our glorious citadel of Icecrown is yours to command. Should you choose to master this discipline, there shall be no escape for your enemies, as they will find their actions slowed and made impossible by the cold. Still others find their true calling to be the power of bringing disease and plague by crushing our enemies. This, too, is a specialty unique to our kind and worthy of pursuit. The mightiest of defenses may seem impregnable at first. Oh my god! Yet for every defense lies the weakness that it has uncovered. Never forget, Death Knight. It was not an army, but a plague that brought about the destruction of Lordaeron. That's an interesting point, actually. Corpulus, great cook of Acros, will make good food for you. He proud to feed mighty Scourge and make stronger. No make Corpulus mad, he no feed you. Rules. Death Knight eat first, ghouls wait turn. Number 2. No eat ghoul next to you. Eat clean plate first. 3. Okay, add own maggots and lice to food. Corpulus not offended. Got vermin? Bring to Corpulus. Okay, eat human or elf. Elf other white meat. Mess part of meal. Corpulus see napkin. Hang head in shame. Okay, bring back food not rotten enough. Corpulus got 3 free armpits. Okay, eat with hand or swords. No eat hands or swords. Zombies need try more food. Think outside brains. No eat self. I went to work with a war factory of the Mighty Scourge today. Noxoramas bristles with activity. I was saddened to learn they were using the more foolish puzzle mechanisms to power mission-critical teleport devices, but otherwise it seemed to be a tight ship. My thoughts seemed turned towards gainful research until I ran astray of a perverse Nerubian. The Nerubian's overtures are without number, always calling to me with a creepy, droning voice, invitations to study in its parlor. I have taken to sequestering myself in the broken pipes behind Gluth's chambers, as it's the only place he won't follow me. My mind is wearing thin. How does this lackadaisical cadre of misfits and rotting corpses intend to conquer all of Azeroth? Their self-defeating disingenuity falls short of any reasonable appearance of effort at self-preservation. I can make no effort to effect change with the detestable Nerubian hounding my footsteps and blackening my dreams. Ugh. Though this may seem like a trend in recent ventures with employment in the Scourge, adventurers have broken into the Necropolis and killed my colleagues. Alas, even the hot redhead in Fairlena's cult, slain before the creepy spider would let me talk with her. I hate this place. As soon as I turn undead, I'm so out of her. I have earned the chapter's favor at last and granted entrance into Sholomance. Yes, I know they pronounce it Schoolomance. You know I don't care. Today, my final ascent into glorious undeath begins. Things within Sholomance are far more rustic than I expected. Research materials are strewn in awkward piles, some sealed together with wax dripping from an odd scented untended candle. Constructs, spirits, and demons roam the halls untended. I must say I expected more from such practiced necromancers as these. Today, a group of brigands broke into the school and began slashing their way towards the crypts. As they cut down a study group in the foyer, the nearby students continued their practices, oblivious. The forces within that hall would overwhelm a small army, yet they yielded piecemeal. Fools! Ugh. As I read with Dark Master Gambling today, invaders broke through the viewing room and reached the crypts. The crazy saw it hid behind a bookcase, giggling as he watched them slay each of the school's administrators. Then he burst out shouting, "School's in session!" Is he off his rocker? I'm recommending myself for transfer to Stratholme. Stratholme. Today I became a Thuzedan necromancer within Stratholme. I rather wonder why nobody puts out the fires, and I was mortified to learn of the nonsensical system of ziggurats linked to the slaughterhouse. If we need to keep people away from the slaughterhouse, why don't we just lock the gate? Like, forever. I'm beginning to learn things are very backwards here. This arrogant sod on a rotten horse trolls about and calls himself Baron Rivender of Stratholme. The man has clearly mistaken the Scourge for a petting zoo, as he spends half of every afternoon moving the disciples, minions, and constructs into small groups and stationing them around the city. After completion of the Baron's tea time parade today, a party of, let's call them well-wishers, stomped through the city, knocked down the pins he'd set up. "Lock the gates," I urged him. "The minions in control of cigarettes will protect the slaughterhouse, boy," he assured me. I'm packing my crap and booking it out the back gate. Looks like I made a clean break. Judging by the smoke coming from the city, my flight was timely. A gainless venture working in Stratholme, except I stole that bastard's signet ring. A modest forgery bearing the Baron's seal should see me comfortably inside the walls of Noxoramus. One sane man. After repeated failures at serving within the Scourge, I found I held myself to a much higher standard than even those within the upper echelons of the organization. Given the inherent inflexibility of social power structures, it's difficult to balance attempts to effect change with extant social challenges. It is fortunate, then, that this organization offers low-skill employment opportunities for disaffected individuals or those inconvenienced by some malady, such as, in my case, death. I have come to embrace one truth. The arrival of death is cold and unfulfilling, and gives no answers. I am freed of earthly obligation, but I feel no relief, for I feel no heart. I simply am. I may only hope to fall again before the blazing wrath of a noble and merciful and peaceable heart in glorious battle. The necropolis has been called back to Icecrown. We've taken on supplies and personnel, and the city is alive once again. I'm different. I feel whole. I feel alive. I feel his perfect will directing me. I know exactly where I will stand, and when the warriors come, I will test them. So, report from the front lines, Eastern Kingdoms. Nothing new there. Hi, Insana. I do hope you are doing as well as you can be. And as always, thank you for your support. If you want to put that towards up to 3 things for future streams, please let me know. There's the thing. There it is. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of little details here catching up. Speaking of which, so Huthor mentioned this, but I kind of skipped over this. That guy over there, Instructor Resuvius, he was a raid boss back in Noxoramus. Now, I had the great fortune of doing some of Noxoramus back in vanilla, up to the 4 Horsemen, as I am admittedly well proud of. The reason I bring that up is because Noxoramus was in many ways a failure by Blizzard, and they themselves consider it such. Now, whether that's true or not, that's a little bit more debatable, but for the record, I agree with them. The problem with Noxoramus is it was a very, very, very difficult raid and statement. So, an extraordinarily small number of people actually spent any time in there and got to see the fights or the story or the anything, really. This would become a driving motivation behind a lot of what they would do for several years, probably culminating in the LFR tool, which wouldn't show up until the last patch of Cataclysm. So, one of the band-aids they would come up with is actually in this very expansion, where they would have a much, much, way too easier version of Noxoramus. So, yay. I am sorry, Insana. And yeah, Sunwell was the same way. Sunwell, as I was talking about just yesterday, 2 days ago, excuse me, was extraordinarily punishing. So anyways, yeah. So here's Instructor Resuvius. He was a boss. And we're going to be seeing a lot of the various bosses from Noxoramus here. So when I was doing this for the first time with my friends, I would point this out. And their reaction would be, huh? Because they didn't do Noxoramus. Nobody did. Most people don't even know it's pronounced that way. For whatever it's worth, I think they've come up with some interesting ideas over the years for how to approach this. I also think that none of them are what I would call the perfect solution to that problem. Although, they have, right now, the tools to finally solve this problem. We'll see if they actually do it or not.
All life must end.
What he said. The time to spill the blood of our enemies approaches. You must first learn what it is that you seek to destroy before rushing headlong into battle. It is what separates a Death Knight from a mindless ghoul. I will grant you sight beyond sight, my champion. You will be tired. You will use the Eye of Acros to steal our enemy's secrets.
Must die.
Towering above this platform is the Eye of Acros. From it you will call forth a probe you will use to analyze Scarlet Crusade fortifications at New Avalon. The Eye has a host of powers that should make this acquisition simple.
Go forth and defile these lands.
Well, okay. As is your will. So, for many people, this was the very first vehicle quest they ever saw. And let me tell you, this is a novelty. There's a long shot of Acros, by the way. So, I actually mentioned this already in the negatives I've already given. This whole zone sucks to do when there's players about. Like, it is not a pleasant experience at all. That's a lot of this stuff doesn't share at any level, and a lot of it gets buggy when there's too many people trying to do different layers of different interactions and triggering different animations at the same time. How many of you ever heard, "My task is done, my task is done, my task is done"? Now, I'm not going to double down on that. I have already given that a negative. I just wanted to comment on it while we're here. It's a lot easier doing it when you're the only one doing it. Go figure. So, there's a bunch of citizens down there. Oh, wonder what they're doing. Oh well, here, have some ghouls. Alright, then there's the poker quest. Yeah. Let's take a look around. There's some more storytelling going on here, as there often is. Whole lot of troops here, though. Like a lot of Scarlet Crusaders down here. Which makes sense. This was one of their 3 biggest strongholds at this point in history. Timeline-wise, this is before the major push up into Northrend. When exactly it happens is very debatable. Still, to this very day. Personally, I like to think that this is all happening right before the charge into Outland. Because that just makes sense to me. But either way, yeah, this is a thing. My first personal favorite tidbit. Looks like we can't see yet, though. So let's go ahead and grab... yeah, the Scarlet Crusade just keeps having more holdings. It's weird. Especially since we've wiped out the Scarlet Crusade 3 times by now. Scourge, don't let it escape. Could you guys, like, piss off, please? Thanks. Have some ghouls. Courtesy of me. Nice little apple orchard. It's a nice little spot of land, actually. I mean, now it's not going to be very long. Yeah, ironically, the Scarlet Crusade would be very easy to recruit new people. I mean, frankly, the Scarlet Crusade were dead as of Wrath. I know that there's bits and pieces of survivor groups after that, but as a functioning polity, the Crusaders are dead after Wrath.
Speak.
They prepare for battle as expected, but there's something else. I sense an old enemy. An enemy I destroyed long ago. And that is a line of dialogue that a huge number of people never picked up on. I'm just going to tell you right now. Spoilers. He's talking about Mal'Ganis. If you ever needed a sign that Wrath was a little bit better written than BC, it's little tidbits like that. It matters not. We will send the full might of the Scourge against them before they have a chance to evacuate their homes and put in place their defenses.
Slay all who oppose us.
Listen well, Death Knight, for I give you the words that will start a war. My final judgment has been passed. Death to all. None shall stand so boldly against the might of Scourge without reprisal. As you have served as well, have you served me well in your first task, so shall you serve me in your next. Take my judgment to High Lord Mograine at the command post. Mograine?
Conquer in my name.
Huh. What do you know? I guess we'll go talk to the Ashbringer next. And then we get here and we see someone who doesn't look like Mograine. There's also his name is Darian, which is wrong. Also Rivendare is there. This was confusing as hell to me back in the day, by the way. Because, you know, 4 horsemen. We'll talk about the other Mograine in a second. So let's see. East Kingdoms. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any books. I'll talk... Okay, so we've got the Decree. Already read that one. Oh my god. Okay, we gotta read that one. And that one. I think that's it. Okay, so... By the way, periodically throughout this whole zone, the Lich King's voice will just play a random file in your ear. Because that's functionally what it's like. Prince Valinor is looking for exceptional Death Knights to travel into Dragonblight, Northrend's frozen central plain, and lead an elite cadre of soldiers in a strike against the Red Dragonflight. Your training is nearly complete, he said in a public address. The time has come to strike against those who would protect the living. We'll show them the true meaning of Dragonblight. Alexstrasza, Red Dragon Queen, and arguably the Scourge's most powerful enemy in Northrend, has been seen building up her own army of late, although it's assumed her efforts are aimed at the rogue Blue Dragonflight. Yeah, no, we didn't do anything in vanilla. Like, at all. To the Scourge, I mean. I should clarify. Obviously, we did stuff to, like, Nefarian and, I guess the Defias. Account of raising a frostworm. The hulking bones were nearly swallowed by the snow, but there's no mistaking the grim claw that jutted upwards, twisted in solemn agony. The necromancers assembled without a word, forming a ring around the dragon's corpse. They stood still for a moment as the wind circled them with gusts of snow, and then the ritual began. Spokes of unholy light emanated from the center of the frozen bones, cracking through the snow and ice until at last the immense remains were fully exposed. With a gesture from the Grand Necrolord Antioch, the bones shuddered and lurched above the ground, rotating slowly into place. The necromancer's incantations swelled as they began to force sentience into the creature's remains. Violent contortions racked the body as the worm's consciousness fought against its corrupt reanimation. A thin shriek pierced the air and the beast was subdued. An icy glow ignited within its gaping ribs, spreading along its limbs and lending an eerie cognizance to the sockets of its eyes. The Grand Necrolord came forward. The Lich King has seen fit to raise you to serve the Scourge. You will be our loftiest instrument of death, raining torment on villages of our enemies, feasting on the living, and bearing our finest Death Knights. The Frostworm regarded them and dipped its head in slightly in accord. The conversion was complete. Rearing back, it flared its wings like a fan of knives across the sky. The Decree of the Scourge, Chapter 1, by Kel'Thuzad. The roots of the Scourge are sown in the folly of all races. Our rise to power is the product of the sins of those who mean our end. The so-called heroes of the land fall before us by resorting to a measure of our ideals to bring forth their envisioned victory. Their victory is a vehicle to the realization that without resorting to that which they define as deplorable to achieve it, we would have overcome them instead. In both outcomes, win or lose, the Scourge invariably wins. When this is recognized, submission to our will is inevitable. The Master, our Lich King, was born under this very same doctrine. To conquer is to corrupt. To corrupt is to take what is to be righteous and hopeful, to be living, and invert it through any means in your arsenal. The attributes of the living all have synonyms with fatal flaws that is their undoing. Hope is dogma. Righteousness is zealotry. Living is empathy. Recognize what makes that which lives desire to live and turn it upon itself. Knowing the most direct path of corruption is the pinnacle of wisdom. A simple weakening of the heart, dismembering of vital organs, or direct disease works for most. But, however, However, the conqueror of most is not the decree of the master, but the conqueror of all. It is foolish to spend excessive resources in warping the mind of a simple peasant, where common plague will suffice, but it is equally unwise to try the same common plague against the seasoned and the hardy. Regimented study of any formidability will reveal usable weaknesses. Chapter 2. The largest misconception the living have of the scourge is our penchant for what is considered evil. For the sake of demoralization, we allow this error to perpetuate, and indeed spread it on our own. The true nature of the scourge is our transcendence of the shackles that keep any of the living races from becoming as prosperous as we. For example, what benefits do emotion and honor really hold? They serve to validate the living and make them feel good. Now, what flaws do they hold? Emotion is directly correlated to the ignorance of logic and reason. Honor is at most times the sole perpetuator of able resources fighting a losing battle. It is baffling, even to me, that the living can be so unaware of how eager we are to play the part of their villain, to nurture their greatest flaws by becoming the embodiment of all that incites irrational behavior. Moral ambiguity cannot be cleansed. Antipathy cannot be healed or assuaged. Greed cannot be dispelled, and wrath cannot be cured. We choose to be the embodiment of these things, and yet there are some still foolish enough to believe the scourge can be defeated and removed completely. So long as the most attractive sins of the living remain our banner flag, there will always be those eager to flock to our will. I myself was born under this doctrine. The scourge is infinite in potential. We are not, however, infallible by any means. Always be well aware of your limits and the resources at your disposal. Always have an exit strategy. Sacrifice of eager minions to your ends is a cornerstone of scourge philosophy. All manner of bravery, martyrdom, or compatriotism for anyone but the master is imprudent and severely punishable. Another fallacy outsiders hold of the scourge is that our power resides in the residual will of the living, that we are an advanced form of parasite, and without a host of regenerating life, we would simply wither away. Again, we do not deny such ignorant thought for our benefit, but this could not be further from the truth. We are nothing but an ever-improving form of adaptation to a land once riddled with endless struggle. We are immune to tribulations of dissension, overpopulation, individuality, selfish opinion, short-sightedness, and even mortality. We hear the will of the Master, and the Master brings us all we will ever desire. It is true we take architecture, technology, and physical prowess from assimilated cultures. This, like so many evil acts of the scourge, is done entirely out of pragmatism. The scourge have neither the time nor the desire to generate a culture of its own. A member of the scourge that creates without influence will hold an inherent attachment to it, a right to see it viewed and used. This leads to individuality, which leads to dissension. Creativity is a flaw of culture, but a minor obligation when dealing with the simple needs like buildings and equipment. It is not your duty to question or care of the origins of your resources, only in how usable they are. The scourge is the will of the land. All manner of life kneel to our will with an ease that yields a single conclusion, that they need us. They yearn for our salvation. There's no resilience to our practice and no immunity to our commandments. We're every bit the inevitability that a natural life holds. Death. Death comes from every life, and undeath comes from every death. The sooner the living recognizes this immutable fact, the easier then the transition will be. Now, this book right here, by itself, thus earns a negative to Kel'Thuzad in Shadowlands. I know that's jumping ahead a bit, but I stand by that statement completely. Kel'Thuzad was an interesting and horrifying villain, with layers and nuance to him. And as we pointed out in the lore run, he's one of the only people who was a true believer in the Scourge cause. As we'll see, as we've already seen a little bit, and as we'll continue to see, the overwhelming majority of the individual Scourge, like the individual lords or liches or mages or whatever, they've got their own mentalities, their own perspectives, right? There's so many would-be undead lords, right? Some of them are allowed to be that by the Lich King. Some of them try to be that in the absence of the Lich King. All of them are just doing all their own things. Kel'Thuzad was a true believer in the cause. And that is one of the reasons why he was so terrifying. I personally, it could be argued, and Dakota mentioned this, that the medal should be lies. But this right here, I believe this fully. That is to say, I believe that he believes this fully. Because, yeah. And that's also true. It's entirely possible one of the reasons Kel'Thuzad is such a believer in the cause is specifically because the fact that he is at the top of the heap. He is the major domo of the Lich King. Effectively the number 2 slot. Yeah. Reports from the aerial surveillance squadron in Icecrown Glacier show that communication with the Lich Lord Chillwinter has been sharply cut off. Chillwinter was last seen piloting the necropoli Talramus over Borean Tundra on a confidential mission. Our diagnostics show that his communication crystals are fully operational. It's just dead silent. All of this is foreshadowing for future story arcs, by the way. Every single one of these. So, Compendium of Fallen Heroes. That's a good question, Lord Hermon. Tartek the Enraged, one of the most powerful abominations the Scourge has ever created. Assembled by the Lich Aminar the Coldbringer to assist in setting up the base at Razorfen Downs. Tartek... Yeah, no kidding either. Tartek single-handedly felled more than 1,200 Quillbores before finally being overcome. His sacrifice provided the corpses for Aminar to quickly raise an undead Quillbore army of his own, ultimately assembling the first major Scourge outpost on Kelemdor. Some of Tartek's remains were reanimated and used to create Glutton, Aminar's current lieutenant. Abraham the Traveler, brilliant architect, pivotal in the conception of Noxramas, and mastermind behind the creation of Acaris, quickly rose up the ranks from lowly skeletal peon to one of Kel'Thuzad's most trusted advisors. Always the scholar, Abraham traveled the world in search of knowledge, notably taking most of his inspiration from the Nerubians and the magic of the Orc warlocks. He was last seen several years ago heading to the ruins of Zin Ashari in Kalimdor. Diodor the Damned, human necromancer, one of the first members of the Cult of the Damned, and decorated hero of the First War. Successfully led a contingent of Scourge to victory during the first and second Summertide assaults upon the Scarlet Monastery. Killed in action during the third and final Summertide assault, which was successfully repelled by Scarlet Crusade operatives that had finally figured out his modus operandi. Kirkusin the Zealous, powerful Lich who reported directly to the Lich King himself. A decorated veteran of countless battles, Kirkusin designed and led the Siege of Sanguine, one of the largest organized assaults in Light's Hope Chapel. Despite overwhelming odds, his attack was quickly countered and his forces suffered enormous damages. Kirkusin himself received a critical blow from Lord Maxwell Tyrosus, as no longer able to assume corporeal form. And then there's one last book to read. Everyone's favorite book in the game. Skorzad nervously peered around the corner of the column. As he had planned, he saw her floating there, alone in her chamber. Had he made the right decision, visiting the Banshee's private chamber so late at night? The necromancers would surely put him back into the ground if he was discovered. Oh, what's worse, he didn't even know if his feelings were requited, and Madame Sindari was known for her short temper. What few doubts the zombie had were quickly tossed aside when he caught a full glimpse of her beauty. Her distinctly elven features, a reminder of her form in a past life, now enhanced by the oozing wounds and scabs that dotted her face. Purple, almost translucent skin was frugally covered by necrotic wrappings that hugged her waifish figure. Cold flesh neatly fused with ephemeral as her legless torso sat upon a bluish sphere of energy, drifting a few inches above the gold granite floor. Skorzad allowed himself to relax a bit and wipe the sweat and ichor that dripped alternately from his prominent brow. Seemingly unaware of his presence, she glided to the only window in the room and looked out at the battlefield. Desolation stretched out before her. Not 6 hours ago she had the shrill cries of human children pierce the air, but now only the sweet silence of death. The wind caught her hair now, playfully flipping the worm-like tangles around her hollowed eye sockets. Skorzad, suddenly where he was leaning forward with lust, shrank back behind the column, terrified the Dark Wailer had seen him. Oh, she had indeed seen him, but he had no reason to fear. Skorzad, she said, I've been waiting for you. You fought well today. The Banshee glanced cloyingly over her rotted right shoulder, allowing the wrappings to loosen ever so slightly. It's time you collected your reward. So for those of you who don't know, there are... okay, hang on. Let me rewind here for a second. So there are several... in real life, there are several types of... It's actually called the steamy romance novel in real life. Sometimes it's called girl porn. Some of you probably are familiar with girl porn. And it's all schlock, right? Like, the whole point is that it's terrible. It's ridiculous, and it's hysterical. I know people who unironically enjoy girl porn, not for the intended reasons, but because it is so ridiculous. For example, and this is true, one of my favorite examples of this is there's a series about a time-traveling Viking who ends up working for the U.S. SEALs and ends up turning into like a James Bond-like character and saving the world multiple times. And I'm not making this up. You can look it up. It's a real thing. It's ridiculous. No, 50 Shades wishes it was girl porn. And I mean that with every insult intended. Because 50 Shades is not ridiculous, funny schlock. 50 Shades is drivel. And that's the difference, right? You remember yesterday we talked about the difference between a movie that's bad and like good schlock versus a movie that's bad schlock. That's 50 Shades. 50 Shades is bad schlock. Yeah, 50 Shades is awful. No, I'm talking good schlock. So, anyways, yeah, hysterical fiction. There's a few of these in the game. And I don't, excuse me, I don't remember the full list. Yeah, this was one of the first ones in the game. And they became a series after this, and so there's a few of them throughout the course of the expansions. And they just kind of randomly drop from certain things. I'm pretty sure, yep, nope, the first one was from BC. I was right, I was just double-checking myself here. So the first one came out in BC, then there was this one here in Wrath, and they kept coming out for a while. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because we'll actually meet the main character from the books in Legion. And the general implication there is that these are actually not fiction. They're just recountings. Make of that what you will. Oh, also, hang on. So, just for the hell of it, here's the BC one. It's shorter, don't worry. As Nani glided up, the grizzled warrior gave her a hard stare. I suppose you're here to collect the reward for killing those murlocs. Her eyes wandered down to the glowing broadsword at his side. That depends on what the reward is, Marcus. She twirled her hair playfully, pretending not to notice how he shifted uncomfortably in her presence. I may not want it. Marcus stepped forward, bristling with a mixture of fear and anger. The reward's not negotiable. He paused for a moment, gathering his nerve, and pressed himself against her diminutive form. Their lips met hotly, melting her frost armor spell. Sorry. Melting her frost armor spell in a torrent of sweltering vapor. So, she says, her eyes glittering with excitement, is there another step to this quest? This goes on for several hundred pages without advancing the plot. Yeah, imagine kissing someone who has frost armor on. Just actually picture that for just a second. Or maybe don't, because you probably want the skin to keep being attached to your lips.
Ours is not to question, only to act.
The horns of war will soon echo across this land, waking the dead and calling forth the scourge war machine. Woe unto those that would stand in our way. You and your brethren will lead the charge. When next I look upon the Scarlet Lands, my sight will be obscured by legions of Acaris. So we just layered our first of several layers. So Wrath really... Oh, Jesus, that's loud. Wrath really started playing around with the layering concept. And it was pretty buggy, honestly, just like the vehicle thing. It was still a little rough, because they were still figuring out what they were doing with it. Scourge Commander Thalanor awaits your arrival at the overhang directly southeast of our current position. Report and request a griffin to deliver you to Death's Breach. Suffer well.
His will be done.
So now we gain an ability that I cannot believe other MMOs, and also this one, have not implemented. Simply by being at this point of the thing, we get what is essentially a mount speed run buff while we're roaming around town. Hey, FF14, please steal this idea. This idea predates you existing.
I will listen for now.
Yeah, cool. So
We are done here.
seriously, Valerian, like, it's such a perfect answer for the we don't want mounts problem. Hey, what's this? It's the Sarian and Kultira. And some other guy. I wouldn't worry about him, but it's those two. Huh. What I think I find interesting about this most of all is all three of them are wearing the same outfit. That will no longer be true soon. The Dragon Isles await. Not now. Not now. Kind of busy. Oh yes, here's Sui Su. She's a reference to the beta. All I'm going to say about that right now.
Make it quick.
The war's begun. I shall place you upon my finest griffin and deliver you to Death's Breach. Chaos, death, and destruction. You herald all this and more.
Ashes to ashes.
Below Acra stands Death's Breach, the staging point for our crusade, and assault into the crusade. God, I'm tired. You are to ride one of my griffins located on either side and report to Prince Valinor. Do as he says, and you may live to see these lands fall before us.
Tomorrow is another day.
Alright, hang on, I just realized there's one thing I forgot to do. Let's do that real quick. That there, pull this up. That, set that to that. Cool, cool. Undead Construct Power Armor. Oh, God! Okay, so for the purposes of leveling... I haven't done Unholy in a while. Let's do that. I don't have to, Lord Harriman. Death Strike. We... God, I haven't looked at these talents in a long time. Technically ever, actually. That's what I thought. Okay. We'll put this over there, then. Fine, just for you. Hang on. Let me find a specific mount, for no reason. The Crimson Death Charger. That should suffice.
You need something?
Do you smell it? Fresh meat. The scent of Scarlet Crusader wafts through the air. Apologies, Death Knight. I'm sure you're not interested in my choice of fine cuisine. You're here to work, to lead the charge. Yes, I know. The Lich King's told me all he needs to know about you, Marrowfrost. The time for bloodshed is now.
We will have our revenge.
They make their stand now outside of Death's Breach, futilely attempting to push us back in hopes of saving their horses, mines, lumber, and citizens. This will be your first lesson in Scourge warfare. Terror. Go to the front lines and destroy the Crusaders. Leave their corpses so we can use them in the Death March. But most importantly, kill the villagers. Soldiers dying are affordance, but villagers, that is what strikes fear into the hearts of man.
We are done here.
Yeah, by the way, one of the things that does work very, very well about this entire series, this whole sequence of events, it is such an insight into why the Scourge operate the way they do. Like, it's completely unnecessary. It's entirely retconned, if we're being honest, but it fits so well with how they operate and what they've been doing up until now. Like, sure, we could just roll over people, but no, we're here to crush you. Body and soul. And so, yeah, terror tactics become a thing.
You need something?
The Sky Darkeners are mindless constructs with one purpose. Kill. Specifically, they are aiming it to kill any man or woman that they see fleeing Havenshire for the safety of New Avalon. We can't allow those cowards to make it to safety and take arms against us. One problem. They're using Serenite arrows. Serenite? I wonder what that is. For maximum range and damage. Serenite, however, is a metal found only in Northrend, so supplies are limited. Go retrieve those arrows for me.
We will ravage this land.
Born of the Lich King's victory over Illidan Stormrage is the heart of the in the heart of the Frozen Waste. Death's challenge is a rite of passage all Death Knights must undergo. Seek out the other Death Knights of Akros. Challenge them to a duel. They must accept and fight until a victor emerges. So this is the go learn how to duel PvP party members. But thankfully, and this is true even back in the day, if there's no actual players about to fight, you can just do it to the initiates up there. How fortuitous it is that the Crusade has a stable full of horses a mere stone's throw away from this post. Although they guard it tenaciously, an enterprising young Death Knight could break through their defenses and take what is rightfully his. Once you acquire a horse from the stables, return it to me and I will see what can be done about transforming it into a proper Death Charger. Remember, it's only stealing if you're caught.
I will listen. For now, tomorrow is another day.
Jesus Christ. Oh, right, because I'm not time walking yet. That's why.
Our masters will
Can't
be
be
done.
dead. Oh, that'll be interesting.
Our master's will be done. Get on with it. Another time.
Move on away from that. Hashtag other players, am I right?
Speak your peace.
Look, I'm not going to try and convince you that the main plot of Wrath is amazing, Luthor. But I do plan to give it positives for being amazing. Possibly a negative as well. We'll see.
Yes.
Oh my god, other players are terrible. Almost as terrible as Venters. That's an exaggeration. Nothing could possibly be as terrible as
Suffer
Venters.
well.
Okay. I will say this, the idea that the Scourge are unbeatable is kind of ridiculous. It should be. I've never bought into that. Frankly, even the idea of, you don't understand, we have to have a Lich King, otherwise it's all going to hell, is just, really? Eoden Chronicles, Triangle Strategy, and squeak it into R. Thank you, Ventures, as always. Yeah, no, exactly. Like, so to talk this out a little bit, what makes a degree of sense to me is that the Scourge with a Lich King at its head are kind of unbeatable, especially if that Lich King stops screwing around, right? Like, to be blunt, if the events of the final battle of Icecrown happened the way that they almost did, yeah, that would have been game. That would have been the end of it, right? Like, the guys who took down Kill Jaden are now working for the second Lich King. That's it. We're done. Pack it up. Because at that point, there's nothing else. He's done playing around. He's got his super army. Then he just kind of moves across the rest of the world and wins. But without a Lich King, what you have is a whole lot of roaming damned who have that little compulsion thing. Now, that's actually already been mentioned, if you're paying attention. And it'll be mentioned again in the future. The Lich King built a secondary form of control into his minions, which is that compulsion to kill. If you don't kill, it hurts. Now, there's some vagueness on that point, to be honest with you, but the long and the short of it is, there's a pretty good chance that the initial, like it would be like, all right, the Lich King's dead, cool! And then there would be, like, some time, and then some time, and then, oh god, oh god, oh god! And then the Scourge would just kind of swarm out, desperately trying to kill everything. Now, that would be bad, I'm not trying to say it wouldn't, but it would also be a one and done. There's no there's no reconstitution. They're not regaining new numbers. All of the things that actually makes the Scourge truly threatening are gone. Instead, what you just have is a giant pile of death pouring down on you. Now, that's still an issue, let's be clear. That is still a problem. But it's not like the world will be destroyed forever kind of a problem. That's stupid. Logically speaking, what they probably should have leaned towards is the idea of deliberately removing the crown, deliberately removing control, and then just kind of trying to permanently bring down all of those dead, right? They didn't. Instead, we got the launch event for Shadowlands, which, and this is important, is a negative. Or would be, if we reviewed launch events. Sadly, we do not. Sigh. Yeah, the Scourge just would probably absolutely decimate Northrend, but it would probably take enough losses in the process to, you know, not be fully capable of smashing further south. By the time they actually hit the shores, they'd be rather diminished. Not fully diminished, still a threat, but not completely diminished. Or you know what I mean. Ignore these people screaming as we murder them, by the way. It's actually a nice touch. Some of them fight back. Some of them do not. So we just cut down people who are literally not even fighting back. The definition of a civilian. Quietly in the back of my mind, I think that this is part of why people like the Death Knight Starter Zone. Because people like playing the bad guy. Like it or not, that is a common truth. No, the Legion event would get like 50,000 positives. Just all of the positives. Just every positive. Nothing but positive. Nothing but positives. Who else stole their lunch money? By the way, the name of this quest is If Chaos Drives, Let Suffering Hold the Reins. Yeah, I know people like to play Darkside on Tor. And yeah, they actually go out of the way to make it feel like you are the bad guy here. And spoilers, you are. So let's see. Illegible letters, scrolls, anything inside? Huh. To High General Abendus. What's this say? I hope my letter finds you in good health. My name is Daniel Ann Adams, hunter by trade, Scarlet Crusade by blood. I am writing this letter to inform you I have witnessed a miracle. During a routine purging of infidel scourge infesting Plaguewood, my party and I were interrupted by a deafening screech coming from the sky. When we looked to the heavens towards Noxramas, our jaw dropped to the floor. I tell you this now, High General, 'twas a sight not to be believed. The dread citadel was moving, slowly at first, and then gone with a thunderous roar. Poof. That's right, General. Noxramas is gone. No more! Can it be anything other than a miracle of the light? I say not. May it be that the impure, unkempt barbarians are judged and sentenced next. Praise be the light. Please let our brothers and sisters know of this miracle, High General. May the light preserve you for all eternity, so you may spread the good word until the end of days. Respectfully, the Closer. Yep, they summoned a citadel. Excuse me. Look, I know you're running for your death, and I know you have children, but those children are, well, now they're orphans. And this person is impaled by arrows, so we're just gonna finish them off. There we go.
Mercy is for the weak.
I still think the Blood Elf is the best one of these, by the way, when it comes to the undead quest coming up.
Harness your rage and focus.
Actually, there are abominations that were, as an experiment, specifically crafted out of the souls of the innocent in order to see if they would create something stronger. I mean, if you... I talked about this during BC. Almost all of the BC zones were Warcraft maps. Like, if you zoom out the camera and look down at them, the placement, the layout, the styling of it was very much a Warcraft 3 map. And this zone is absolutely that. Base, town, position, placement, walls, spawners, our spot, the way we advance forward, which places we take in which order. This is a Warcraft 3 map. 1-to-1.
Mercy.
And yeah, this is just what Twitter sounds like.
No mercy.
Like, anybody's been on Twitter knows. Actually, barely a joke, too. I'm not sure, but let's just say that recently I made the mistake I make every now and again and actually started reading through some Twitter threads. I stopped. I was curious to something specific. I was looking something up, and then it's just, whoa, and then I stopped. Alright, so we all know the best horse to get is the tiniest little colt. Giddy up! This is really funny if you're a large race. Even a dwarf. Whoa there! Oh god, oh god, oh god. Okay. Hang on there, buddy. Just all chillax here. I know some people count it, but I don't think Discord qualifies as social media. Not in any real sense of the word. I think forums are social media. You're technically right, but you're mostly wrong. Anyways. Tiny horse. Let's go. Yeah, Discord has its own problems, but that's not one of them. Now, this horse is really strong. Somewhat recently, I got a comment on YouTube, and they kept talking about X. And based on context clues, you already understand where I'm going with this. But, like, at the time, I was just really confused about this. Because I kept thinking, huh? Because I kept reading it literally, like such and such is X. And I'm like, what? Or such and such is on X. And it threw me so hard. It literally took me until days later to process that they meant Twitter. Go ahead, make fun. I deserve it, but I just... What? So, priestly preening. Be like your betters. Cultivate a fulsome beard, for it conceals the imperfections of the face from the light. Purify your hands in the milk of the mare, that they be soft and supple when handling the offertory. Bathe in the rivers, allowing the glorious natural gifts of the light, which has nothing to do with nature, to cleanse your skin. Replace regularly your holy raiment, that your appearance and odors do not offend the servants of the light. Maintain at all times an upright posture. Let not fatigue and sloth curl the spine. This continues for several more pages. Now for the true test. Can you show mastery over an unbound charger and brutally overtake the thing you desire most? Well, but Breglin's right there. The horse you stole has been taken to the realm of shadows. It is there my dark rider will slay the beast and raise it as a death charger. Do you think yourself brave enough to enter the realm of shadows in pursuit of the death charger? If you accept, I'll transport you to the shadow world. Once there, seek out a dark rider and emerge victorious. Okay. Yeah, by the way, you get a mount very early as a Death Knight, which makes sense because we were level 55 at the start and then 58 by the end. Hey, here's the Shadowlands. The original Shadowlands. Don't question it too much. We actually see this again in Dragonblight later on as the Horde. Yep, hero class. So by the time you finished the starter zone, you were ready to go and could immediately go into Outland, which is what most people did for obvious reasons. I like the constructed afterlife in a vacuum and not a part of Warcraft. So I know that's several asterisks there, but, you know, whatever. Could you not, please? Could you not? Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Impressive. Return to me in the world of the living for your reward. Yeah, exactly, as Mirror. Like, it's a neat idea. It's just, can we not have that in Warcraft, please? It's okay. I've got this thing called external continuity and internal continuity, and we can just shotgun negatives at Shadowlands. All right. Hi, Melkor. You have succeeded where most initiates fail. For that, you'll be rewarded handsomely with a mount you already have. The Dragon Isles await. Yeah, that's great. Thanks. So I am going to AFK very briefly. We'll see how long the Death Knight Starter Zone takes, Lord Harmont.
Speak your peace.
Do you feel it, Marrowfrost? That sensation is raw power coursing through your body. Such a thing cannot exist for mortals. Buddy, I got news for you. The front lines are now dismantled. The Geist will finish the job and prepare the grounds for Vesuvius. We turn our attention to more tactical targets.
Another time.
What?
The trajectories they're firing at would have most of the arrows land at or near the farm.
Leave me be.
Well done. Here's one of the best looking cloaks in the entire game. No, seriously. And then there's the other two, but we're going to take that one. It's good.
Suffer well.
Yes, I know the Dragon Oswald. Thank you. Yep, we fell on hard time. Wait a second.
Get on.
Chaos, Marrowfrost. The Crusade is in a frenzy. They have diverted all forces outside of New Avalon to set up a blockade at Light's Point, east of here. They are desperately trying to strip the Havenshire mine of all resources and load the cargo to the frigates. Let's stir things up a bit, shall we? Gothic the Harvester, who is a boss in Noxramas, has graced us with his presence. Oh yeah, by the way, because someone will probably think I didn't, I forgot, and instead of just, I'm deliberately not talking about it. So these are the Sand Lane. The Sand Lane are a specific variant of undead elf. So, I've said this before, and this bears repeating. All elves, with very, very few exceptions, have a reliance on magic in order to sustain themselves. There we go. So they kind of need magic. Where's... Ah, there we go. Now, some get it from connection to a well, some get it from connection to a tree, some get it from connection to nothing. Some just drag you in. Yeah. So, yeah, this is your elf on death. And they specifically, they've got this whole thing. They're vampires, let's just get that out there. But they are actually draining the magic out of people's blood in the doing so, and that is how they sustain themselves. However, you're probably thinking, well, hang on, there can't be that much magic in blood. And you'd be right. It's why the Sand Lane are always hungry. Because they're always starving. Kind of messed up when you think about it. Here's Gothic the Harvester. You can tell he's a vanilla model because he looks like this. Oh my god.
Yes.
You have fought hard to invade the realm of the Harvester. Wait, hang on. Looks at his notes. My apologies. Old habits die hard. Valinor sent you then. I trust you're somewhat competent. I do have a gift for the Scarlet Dogs, one that is sure to speed up our work in the mines.
Another time.
I have come from the frozen heart of Noxramas to feast on souls and deliver a vicious thrashing on our sworn enemies. And I'm all out of souls! This device I'm about to give you is a portable plague spreader. Use it to do a quest that was probably supposed to be cool, but usually just really sucks, especially if a lot of people are doing this quest at the same time. Exactly, Mad Overlord. It's pretty much the Sand Lane equivalent of the constant hunger for killing that is born into most Scourge. One thing that's still a question mark that will probably never be answered is where exactly the desire to kill came for Undead. Yeah, no, this quest really, really sucked when other players are here. In other words, is that something that's being maintained by the second Lich King? Is it something he built into them directly? Is it something that an external force was doing? It matters, because now that the Lich King is gone, post-Wrath, and there's plenty of undead still around, do all of them still have the endless need for killing? Or can that eventually be cured? Also, we know that not every undead has that particular need for killing, because the Forsaken exist. Now, jokes aside... know I'm right. God, this quest. Personally, based on nothing more than just analysis and evidence, I would say that what's most likely true is that the desire to kill is something that was being maintained. Something that had to be constantly pushed onto them. Oh my god, 3 in a row, and I haven't gotten one. Come on. There we go. Come here. Come here, come here. I mean, that is a horrible thought, Lord Harrimont, but I can see where you're coming from on it. And you're right, I don't like that for Warcraft. For certain other settings, sure. In fact, actually, in Forgotten Realms, canonically, undead, including things like vampires, cannot experience positive emotions or positive feelings in general. Yeah, it's the whole thing with the negative energy plane, exactly.
Make it quick.
They now know the mines are no longer safe. They will double their efforts into retreating, leaving their backs open to us.
We will.
Only the Scarlet forces at New Avalon and Light's Point challenge us. It's time to attack the Scarlet fleet at Light's Point. The diversion at the mine has caused chaos amidst their ranks. They are frantically working to clear the area and return to their ships. The time is ripe. Prince Valinar is seizing this opportunity to finish off the Scarlet fleet. Report to him at once.
There's work to be done.
You have served us well, Death Knight. You of your brethren have survived our initial attack on the Scarlet Interlopers. You remain as one of the strongest. So, I know Huthor hates good writing, but one of the things I like is that the whole idea of what the Second Lich King is doing here, in all of this expansion, is consistent, even in the Death Knight starter zone. He is constantly feeding every single one of his troops into a constant thresher, trying to see that only the best survive, so that only the best of those survive, so that only the best of those survive. Constantly sifting and filtering to try and sort of enforce some Darwinism upon his own troops. He also does this to us the entire time across Northrend, with one noticeable exception. I just want to mention that even here in the Death Knight starter zone, we see hints of that. When we start off the starter zone in the first layer, it's mostly just dudes in like random swords. By the time we get a little bit further into it, there's much more heavily armored people with blades, and they're more capable. And by the time we get to the end of it, everyone's got the full plate, but there's a lot fewer of them. And that's the point. And again, there's things like this dialogue right here. Few of your brethren have survived our initial attack. You remain as one of the strongest.
There's work to be done.
In their haste, the Crusade will make one fatal error, forgetting to check the mine cars. You are to return to the Haven Shire, east of here, and locate a mine car. Climb inside and see that they are placed behind lines. Once aboard the ship, use the cannon and slaughter them all.
Suffer well.
It does make sense if you play Death Knight, that's true. And it doesn't make as much sense elsewise. Where'd this come from? Better get started on the ship before the foreman sees it. Work complete. Oh, wait, not yet. By the way, how do you like that vanilla model? Yeah, how's that vanilla model treating you there? God. Okay. So, vehicle quests, right? You like vehicle quests, right? Hey guys, your cannons are facing the wrong way. This was most people's second introduction to vehicle quests. And it's pretty much an evolution of the bombing runs. So, yeah. A lot quicker and easier than the earlier Idamidian one, so whatever. Yeah, get used to the turret sections. There's going to be a couple of those. Oh, God. I mean, I actually like that idea, admittedly. It was one of my bigger ideas for how to fix the jailer. Rather than making him a big planner, make him a big opportunist.
Make it.
But no, it was all according to his plans. He knew. He knew. The entire Scarlet Fleet wiped out in a matter of minutes. I'll receive a commendation from the Lich King for this. All that remains of the Scarlet Crusade now are the denizens of... Why will you get the commendation? I did the work.
Ashes to ashes.
This is the full report of our victory at Death's Breach. We're to deliver this to High Lord Mogri. I have made sure to include your heroics in the report. He will undoubtedly reward you greatly for this. Go now.
Well.
I mean, it wouldn't make him better because he's still frickin' the jailer, but it would be better. So let's see if I can actually manage this. I don't think it happens here. Oh well. Yeah, he's got forever to just sit there and wait until something goes his way.
Obey.
I was certain you wouldn't make it back in one piece. Yeah, again. Perhaps there's more to you than I first surmised.
The Scourge will not be challenged.
The entire fleet. Such power. I have not seen such a display of domination since my father wielded... It's not important. Yes, your commendation, lest I forget. The Dragon Isles await. There's the will... By the way, he's wielding Corrupted Ashburner. Really minor point, but I just thought I'd point it out. It is the will of the Lich King that drives us onward. None are more aware of it than Death Knights. Our very existence is intrinsically tied to its consciousness. Surely you have heard him speak to you, invading your... Can you hear him now? Yes, my lord. It will be done. Return to the Death's Breach and report to Prince Valinor.
Scour the living.
I will do all that is commanded. For I am an agent of the Lich King. I will get abilities I will hardly ever use. There we go. Yeah, that's right. Whee! So it looks a little different than the last time we were here. It's a little more on fire. A lot more dead people. And this is something that they did a lot in Wrath. They actually do this all the way into Kata. They like to use tricks to hide when they shift you across layers. My favorite trick of all time is actually over in the Goblin Starter Zone, where You're in like a thing, and it flings you into the air because there's an explosion. And when you land, you're in a new layer. If you force the camera down, you have no reason to, but if you force the camera down, you'll actually see the layer transition happening.
We press on.
Havenshire is ours. 1,000 corpses litter the ground, patiently awaiting rebirth. We strike now at our enemy with the awakened strength of the Scourge. The ghouls have already begun their assault. Our forces have moved up behind them and taken the Crypt of Remembrance.
We will have...
The attacks upon the gate of the last Scarlet Bastion have begun. Our ghouls are wearing the Crusade's front lines down while we labor to fortify our new fort base. Venture south. Yep, time for the next phase of Scourge warfare. We did terror, now we do domination. Yeah, in Gilneas, there's one point where you're in a basement and outside it floods. That's another good one. Suffer, Lord Haramond. So I don't want to defend Wrath, Luthor. But, I don't know, speaking personally, I never took it as if the second Lich King was totally on top of everything and behind everything the whole time. It felt more to me like he was... I don't know how to describe it. I'll just say literally. He was throwing tons and tons and tons of everything into the grinder, trying to filter out the very, very best because he wanted his super mega ultra heroes to then convert and use them to conquer the world. It is very clear... Oh my god. It is very clear based on evidence that at any point in time he could have just unleashed the Scourge and frankly won. If the second Lich King just decided to sweep south, he would have done it. But he really wanted that big ultra army of doom run by the best of the best of the best at his will. And so instead, all of the events of Northrend happen and the Wrath campaign in general. I'm probably explaining this badly. It's different than, like, say, that one Bond film. Now, if that doesn't already describe it, I don't have a better example off the top of my head. But you know what I mean, right? Where the villain just somehow magically, perfectly predicts all kinds of things. And they had a plan in mind for everything that they always did forever. And it was always them from the very beginning. Even the Noth regime joining the Legion was their plan. I think that... Was that Skyfall? God, I don't remember. All of the Craig Bond films blurred for me for a while. Anyways. But you get my point, Luther. That's the point. Like I said, I'm not trying to defend it. I just think... I guess I am trying to defend it. I just think it's not as bad as it could be. That might be a better way to phrase that. Because I've seen so many worse examples of the villain was super amazing. Even Palpatine, which is a character I tend to enjoy, tends to lean a little bit too much on everything is going according to my design. Yeah, bullcrap.
Yes.
Noth, where's Hagen? Never say that name around me. Consider this your one and only warning.
There's work to be done.
Okay.
Make it quick.
Look at this pumpkin patch. Notice anything missing? Of course you don't, because you're a moron. Your brain was probably the first thing to die. Ugh. I have been commanded to put together a plague cauldron, and you are going to help me. Directly inside the gate of New Avalon is an inn. Enter the inn, steal a cauldron, and go to the forge and steal some chains. Bring me back some skulls. Do I need to tell you where to get those, too?
Another time.
I was probably a bit biased towards this because the first thing I did in Wrath was make a new Death Knight. Along with way too many other people. This zone really sucks when it's too busy. In the interest of fairness, I should give a negative for that. Yeah, honestly, I tend, just in general, in fiction in general, I prefer what's usually referred to as the speed chess player as opposed to the chess mastermind. The chess mastermind is fine and all, but, like, frankly, most writers are not smart enough to make that work. The speed chess is a little more interesting. Sorry to explain that. The speed chess is someone who's just really, really adaptive, right? Oh, crap, this happened. This. Oh, crap, this happened. This. Right?
Speak your peace.
Hail, Death Knight, I am the Bloodlord, Keliseth, ruler of the southeastern reaches of Northrend. The Lich King has sought to utilize my talents in ending this mortal affront to the Scourge.
Task is done.
Oh, we're going to hear that a lot. As with all things the Lich King asks of me, I am happy to oblige. Of course, a sea of endless souls to sate my thirst certainly sweetens the deal, don't you think?
Suffer well.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that, because that's another thing. Nothing less than total annihilation will suffice. To that end, a few hundred mindless ghouls assaulting the front gate will not do. We must infiltrate and dispose of their officials. They must be shown no one can escape the Scourge's grasp. Go, find their registry. Get a sub from Zobe. Thank you, Zobe, very much. Always appreciate. And yeah, it is a bit of a shame. I've been wondering a few times how better to execute something like the Lich King fight. And frankly, your idea is one of the best ideas I've ever heard, so I'll give you credit on that one. Because yeah, he literally just snaps his fingers and ends the fight, and it's like, really, dude? I like the idea of him actually trying and actually taking it seriously when it's like, okay, you're good enough. I'm gonna go and kill you now. But yeah, he's just... And then Tyrion just wins out of nowhere, and it's like, what? Yeah, no, that scene needs some polish. If only it was a Cataclysm era scene. Most humans would have fled the moment a Scourge Necropolis took up residence in their airspace, not the Scarlet Crusade. I rather enjoy our exchanges with the Crusade. Through the years, Scourge battles against them have resulted in several of the most tragic events in human history. Yet here we are, again locked in battle. We shan't deny them the pleasures of eternal servitude. Enter New Avalon and fulfill their wish. Leave no survivors. Also, and this is just a completely personal perspective, I always hated that Tyrion killed Stolas. Okay, fair, Huthor. What's with all the screaming people? Why are you screaming? Why are you screaming? Why are you screaming? Stop screaming. Stop running around in terror. God, what is wrong with you? Ugh. Oh my God, these poor people. They've all played Starfield. I must put them out of their misery. Damn it, that's exactly where I was going with that. No one should be forced to play Starfield and live. No one. So, little bit of volume warning, sorry. Wasn't really ready for that. I'll just kill the sound for this moment, because, spoilers, there's going to be a lot more screaming in the immediate future. Just gonna... yeah. Why would people scream just because I'm killing them? You're dead. Accept it. Join the Scourge. Yeah, just so dramatic. God. It's just the rise of a new Reich. Jesus. Drama queens. Bunch of drama llamas. That's on the wrong button. Put that over there. Musings of the High General. Purify the body with labor. Purify the soul with prayer. Purify your enemies with fire. Pain is not the enemy, but an ally to be embraced, held close, and delivered to believer and unbeliever alike. Resistance to the ways of the light is a sign of impurity and should be excised from the flesh of the community. I think one of my favorite things. No, this is my real weapon right now. It's not Frostborn, don't worry. There's actually no Frostborn in this game. One of the things I like about this section, it makes it very, very clear that the Crusaders are pretty much just as bad as the Scourge. And you know that's why they threw us against the Crusaders, right? Like, yes, there's civilians here. I'm not trying to diminish that. It's just, you know that the reason they threw us at the Crusaders is so we wouldn't feel as bad about the fact that the people we're killing are functionally Nazis. Like, the Crusaders have been acceptable targets for a long time. So yeah, this is why I'm muted, because if I go over here... yeah, there's a lot of screaming happening right now, put simply. You... Okay, Czar. Clearly I'm being unclear. Let me try that again. You, the player, have no ability to wield Frostmourne in any real format or capacity, whether visually or literally. There is an asterisk to that, but that still is an asterisk, and it still is not actually Frostmourne. So, when you get here, a whole bunch of the citizens are all angry at the councilman and shouting for Quimby. Simpsons reference. I'll just grab this. Yeah, what's your favorite color? Red or blue? They're talking, you know, the Crusaders promised we'd be safe. Where are the ships going, Quimby? We're done for. Save us, Quimby. Yeah, Quimby's not... He's not going to save them. Yep, we're collecting the skulls of our enemies. Doesn't matter. Nazis. Nazis. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So, okay, I love that one. Filthy coward. Get it over with. Look, if I could kill you quicker, I would. But you're the one who has so much freaking health, okay? Try it. God. I'm only level 13. Give me a break. Ooh, a club membership card. Define dining at the finest. Nice. That's actually an interesting question, Lord Haramont. Crusade will be victorious. Do you see your entire farmland burned to the ground and corrupted by Scourge already? Alright, everyone ready for the best sound clip in the entire game?
Speak your peace. Leave me be.
My task is done.
So if you don't understand the joke, every single time any player completes that quest, he says, "My task is done."
On with it.
Whether you've done it or not, or anything. It's just, you're my task. So imagine hearing that, but like 15 times in a row.
My task is done.
Yeah, like that. 1 second. Oh, that's odd. All of these should be off. Hmm. Suppose I'll deal with that later.
We press on. Ashes to ashes.
The registry will tell us many things about the scarlet insects. Death rates, births, but most importantly, movement. They've already sent 3 vessels abroad. Let's see where they're headed. Longitude, latitude. It's impossible. They sailed to Northrend. Besides the coordinates of the words Crimson Dawn.
Tomorrow is another day.
In my travels across this world, I have made several interesting discoveries. For instance, did you know that with the proper amount of encouragement, one can extract in all the truths the man dares hide? As luck would have it, I happen to have encouragement on hand. He pulls out an ornately jeweled box. These are the Persuaders. Equip them and take to the field and do one of the worst quests in the game.
There's work to be done.
That might be a slight exaggeration, but this quest sucks. You were quite effective with that blade, Marrowfrost. Perhaps Lich King permitting, you'd be interested in becoming one of my minions? Stratholme's looking for a new mayor. I'm good, Rivendare, thanks. It's actually, believe it or not, it's been improved since it used to be. So back in the day, it used to be the 2, right? Let's talk about how this is. So he gives you an item. It has a chance on hit to do a proc. The proc has a chance on hit to give you the quest progress. That's it. That's all. But, well, you can see how much that sucks. I should mention all procs in WoW are based on time. So technically, there's no such thing as, for example, 10% in the strictest sense of the word. It's more like within a minute you will get this many procs. That's why I'm just sitting here waiting. The pain is almost as unbearable as the lashings I received in grammar school when I was but a child. I've survived 3 separate inquisitions. This is nothing. And he's dead. Cool. This quest really sucks. You need to find one isolated guy, beat on them for a while. Don't kill them. The proc rate, as you can see, is both slow for the proc itself and then very low chance for it to actually give you the information. If anybody else gets involved, they'll completely screw over your quest. Oh, and by the way, this doesn't share. So every player doing this has to do this. Like I said, this is in the running for one of the worst quests in the game. Probably all the time. One of his lines there was, I used to work for Grand Inquisitor Isilian. Your idea of pain is a normal mid-afternoon for me. And while that's obviously funny, haha, it's worth noting that he means that with total sincerity. The Scarlets like to regularly whip and beat their own people, because pain is a purifier, after all. Oh! That's one of the fastest I've ever gotten that. We were told the Crimson Dawn's an awakening. You see, the light speaks to the High General. It is the light that guides us. This movement was set in motion before you came. We do as we're told. It is what must be done. And over all else, the Hydronal chooses who may go and who stops. You must believe me. Please, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. A courier comes from Hearthglen, and then she dies from the torture. Okay, that sucked. I feel like they upped the rate, because I think we didn't have as many issues the last time we did this, too. Still, that quest sucks and deserves its own individual negative. You know a quest is bad when a quest by itself gets a negative. Oh, Jesus, Jay Palmer. 30 minutes. That's about more my normal timeline right there.
Yes.
An awakening. What nonsense do you speak? What kind of fool would deliver these people into the very heart of the frozen wastes? Yeah, so I'm going to give this away now. The light that they're listening to is Mal'Ganis, the demon. I just point this out because a lot of people miss that when they go through these choke quests.
Leave me be.
I've sent Orbaz, Thessarian, and Kultira behind enemy lines to search for the courier. They have set up base in the local Scarlet Tavern. Okay.
Suffer well.
That Orbaz guy, he sounds like a cool guy. I think we'll see some good things from him in the future. So, usually we'd like to call that cultural osmosis, Czar. For example, most people know about "it was his sled," but how many people have actually seen Citizen Kane? That's cultural osmosis right there. Yeah, you can also call it secondhand information. An elf civilian survivor after Warcraft 3. Where to get your magic? Oh, Jesus. I guess it depends on where I'm at, because, like, travel was a thing at the end of Warcraft 3. Like, just getting around. So we might not have access to much other than wherever we currently are. Hi, Orbaz.
Speak your peace.
Looks like they'll let anyone in the Dark Order these days. When I was given the gift, things were different. Much different. As for this courier...
We are done here.
We haven't got a damn clue about when or where this courier is supposed to show up. None of these humans had any idea either. He points to the corpses on the floor. I did manage to beat something useful out of the last one. Inside Scarlet Hold, they keep a schedule of all patrol routes. I want you to break in there and steal the schedule.
There's work to be done.
Hang on, Thessarian wants me to do something. He wants me to go into... Oh, I can't go in. I'm too large. I'm too big to go into the fireplace. Yes, he's literally a DK boomer. He even looks like one.
Get on with it.
Breaking through the Scarlet Lines was no easy task. We suffered many casualties during the assault, and I lost one of my best Death Knights, Kultira. I don't know whether he's dead or alive, and I'll be damned if we don't search for him. I last saw him being bound in irons and dragged away to the Scarlet Hold. Tear that keep asunder. Find Kultira.
We will ravage this.
Why do you care, Thessarian? His weakness led to his capture. Only the strong should survive. Not to mention... What? That he's a blood elf? In life, we were hated enemies. This is true. But in death, we are children of the damned, the orphaned sons and daughters of the Scourge. In death, we are brothers. To hell with you, Thessarian. I almost feel like going to the anniversary area right now, because, like, I can't give the anniversary area a negative, but I want to for screwing up Thessarian's character. Like, he's been through some stuff. I don't want to say he hasn't. But, like, what the hell? I suppose I should just go show you right now. Honestly, any mage outpost would probably do Lord Harrimont. The anniversary? No, the anniversary is going to like January. You'll do, I guess. No, not the story. That's just referencing the comic book. Why is Death Knight class a direct counter to Mage in WoW? Well, mages have to cast, which means if anything moves them, they can't cast. Death Knights are one of the best classes for making move, so yank. They also have multiple interrupts and slows. And Death Knights have several ways to get right up in your face, which is what a mage wants the least. Hang on. Ah, there we go. Sorry. God, I don't know. I just want this prompt to go away. We'll go with that. Go away. Go away. The thing is, there's no real standardization of what happens to you after you die and then come back. The simplest and easiest way to put it is that dying is a very traumatic event, and being raised from the dead is also a very traumatic event. Both of them are the kind of things that, regardless of any magic, like if you were just somehow to suffer like that in real life, it would mess with you. So the you that comes out of those incidents varies based on you. Then keep in mind that most of the people raising people in undeath are evil jackasses, and you've got the extra little aggravation necessary to make it, the way it is. So, Thessarian.
Well met.
All I have left is duty. What about friends or family? My only friends are dead, and my family? I have no family. I've heard different. What you've heard or seen matters little. In death, I have no family. That is how things must be.
The Ebon Blade will prevail.
Why are we standing here? We could be preparing or planning. We defeated the Lich King and the powers that made him. We'll be ready for what is next. I might have come in at the end of this conversation, not the beginning of it. The Ebon Blade should demand more of ourselves. You know, that's why they made a play about you. I think that's actually it.
I am here to serve. Death alone.
Yeah, so
Stop us.
the reason this irritates me so much is Thessarian is like the most hopeful, positively inclined Death Knight we see throughout multiple things. And he's like, I got this, and we'll work together, and we'll make a better future, and blah, blah. And then we get here, he's just, all of a sudden, he's very doom and gloom. Like, out of absolutely nowhere, he's just a doomer. I don't know how better to put it. It's like, why would you do that to Thessarian? What's doubly weird is Kultira is suddenly the more positively inclined one. Huh? Like, I almost wonder if they literally accidentally flipped, the dialogue there. Because it's weird. It's a minor complaint, and I can't ding the game for it because it's an event. But it really stuck out for me.
Heroes of the Alliance.
Shut up.
The Dragon Isles have a...
Who's this dragon speaking to me in my head? I only listen to the Lich King. Thank you very much. I mean, the thing is, the anniversary event is really, really unpolished. We actually know exactly why. It's because of the fact that it didn't have nearly the amount of time necessary to cook. They were very, very, very rushed when making the anniversary event. It's why they are still patching bugs out of it, by the way. I know what you're thinking. Why were they so rushed? Well, they had to make it in time for the anniversary. I've said it before, and I've said it again. The older I get and the more I study game design, the more I think that anniversaries shouldn't be celebrated by games. They just cause so many problems. Don't mistake me, I've been enjoying the anniversary for what it is. At this point, I'm mostly just at the go get time walking patches stage of things. Coltira? Speaking of Coltira, there he is.
What is your desire?
You're foolish in coming after me. I failed. I should have been left for dead. Now 2 of us might be killed. You're Death Knights of the Scourge. This flies in the face of the Dark Brotherhood's covenants. Thessarian, you blasted fool. Yeah, so he's clearly the doomy one here. And Thessarian's like, I will help you no matter what. And it's like, the alarms have been sounded. The High Inquisitor and his acolytes will be here soon. I'm too badly injured to be of much help, but I'll do what I can. Slay the High Inquisitor and his cronies. Rip off his head and return with it to Thessarian. Vengeance will soothe his savage soul. Oh, one more thing. If you manage to survive and make it back, tell them they're executing the prisoners at the chapel. Maybe he'll send you there to play hero once more.
We do what the living cannot.
Damn it, Crusade. I think my ribs are broken and I might be bleeding internally. I'll need to get my rune blade on my armor. Acolytes, chain them up for questioning. Okay. And he gives us an anti-magic bearer, which is also a tutorial on how this works. And at some points in this game's history was considered necessary. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Why are you spawning over here? Because they're all casting Holy Smite. Honestly, I really like the new BRD. It's had some ups and downs and had to be patched twice to fix some scaling issues, but it's a great raid. I am very sad that I cannot review it. Because it's not content vendors, it's an event. Rip. Well, the main problem with events is that they're temporary. And generally speaking, we don't review temporary content. Even repeatable temporary content. Yeah, I saw that. Somewhere. Oh god, where'd I move the button? Where is it? It should be this button right here. You're still trying to beat the information to people. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I think I can't see it because I'm still in the Death Knight starter zone. That's why. Oh, okay, you're dead. You're dead. Most events are going to be repeated ad infinitum. That doesn't really change the equation. We actually established this precedence over at FF14, which has very, very boring and basic events that replay every, whatever. No, I stand by it. Congrats, Mirror. Tell you what, if they actually backport the BRD raid, which they should, by the way, then sure. What of Kultira?
Suffer well.
I'll feed that monster's head to the ghouls. Pah! Did Kultira make it out? I'm certain he did. Those walls can't hold him.
Leave me be.
The cry for vengeance must be heard. Commander Plaguefist and a company of Death Knights are on their way to raise the chapel of the Crimson Flame. If there are any Death Knights imprisoned in the chapel, Plaguefist will get them out.
We are done here.
Okay, well.
Make it quick. Ashes to
These
ashes.
worthless cretins have been busy. Patrol routes, Western Patrol, Eastern, nothing but courier routes. Wait a minute, what's this? Looks like a Western Patrol route coming out of the Western Plaguelands. So path through here today. I'm gonna need time to plan.
We will ravage this land.
I mean, admittedly, even if I was to review something like Time Walking, all I'd say is, Time Walking exists! Negative to gameplay. I know what you're thinking. Why negative? Because it should always exist. That would also open the door for things like, I don't know what they're called. Like today it's, or hang on, where are we at? What day is today? Here we go. So, today it's the pet battle bonus. Woohoo! Hello?
Our masters will be.
They're only flesh and bone, no match for the Scourge. We didn't find any of our brothers, but we did stumble upon something special. A quest that changes based on your species. And I'm going to say this really quick. Blood Elf absolutely is the best one of these.
Suffer well.
We got here, tore the place apart, and headed towards the prison house. We weren't expecting what we found in there. Seems the Crusaders have been busy. Whole thing is full of Argent Dawn prisoners. Most of them are already dead by the time we arrived, but a few were still breathing. I was going to go in there and execute them, but I think you should have the honors. There's a feisty dwarf in there I think you'll take real pleasure in executing.
We are done here.
There he is. And yeah, there's one for pretty much every race back in the day. Come to finish the job, have you? Well, this son of Ironforge would like... Merrowfrost? I'd recognize their face anywhere. What have they done to you, lad? You don't remember me, do you? Blasted Scourge. They've tried to drain you of everything that made you a righteous force of reckoning. Everything that made you a son of Ironforge. Think back. Remember the snow-capped mountains of Doom Morrogue. You were born there. Remember the splendor of life. You're a champion of the dwarves once. This isn't ye. Listen to me. You must fight against the Lich King's control. He's a monster. He wants to ruin the world. And he wants to... Don't let him use you to accomplish his goals. You were a hero once and you can be again. You have to fight, damn you. Hey, what's going on in there? What's taking so long? There's no time for me. I'm done. Do it, or they'll kill us both. Put me out of my misery. For Cosmodon. And the thing I like about this quest is it's up to you to decide how your character reacts to this. Maybe this is nothing. Maybe you're just staring at them like, who is this guy? Maybe this hits you. Maybe it starts to spark some memory in you. Remember, our souls aren't reconnected right now. So, it's entirely possible that this means nothing to us. But the memory is still going to be there regardless. So that's important too.
Speak your peace.
Felt good, didn't it? You're not one of them anymore. You're Scourge. Forever.
There's work to be done.
Yeah, maybe we literally feel nothing. We're just... Dab. Return to the Sarian. Let him know Kultira's cry for vengeance has been answered. The Chapel of the Crimson Flame will be a pile of ashes in a matter of hours. You're one cold-blooded monster, Marrowfrost. I salute you, brother.
Ashes to ashes.
Yeah, it's also a nice bit of foreshadowing. That is true. Oh god, I don't remember Spartan. It's like, wait, I'll tell you. Please, no more pain. Like, it's the only thing they say that isn't insulting to you.
You need something.
Another Scourge victory. These scarlet dogs won't have anywhere left to hide.
Another time. What?
Why is that a bad thing, Yura? While you're out burning churches and murdering vermin, I've been busy formulating a plan. The Scarlet Courier is scheduled to pass by the Scarlet Overlook within the hour. The roads by the Overlook are wide open and swarming with Crusaders. Use this makeshift cover to hide the Overlook and wait for the Scarlet Courier to pass. When he's close enough to strike with all your fury. Cut him down. Take his clothes.
Leave me be.
You want me to... Okay. I cannot even begin to understand that, Yura. It would not feel particularly good, Trihexia. Alright, now. We need to see Orbaz's incredible genius at play here, okay? Okay, so we need to put down a disguise! It's right here. I'm right here. A disguise! A disguise? For Christ's sake. Do I have to be up here? Disguise? Disguise, disguise. Disguise, disguise. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put down a disguise. He'll never see me. What a strange tree. I must investigate. Yeah, Orbaz actually does show up again in Ice Crown specifically. Yep, this is Orbaz's brilliant plan. You know, I don't know Jay Palmer. He is truly the mastermind of the Scourge. None can withstand his glory. Come on.
You need something?
You're gonna miss the courier, and I'm gonna be forced to kill you. And by forced, I mean I will take great pleasure in ending your life. Now hurry up!
Tomorrow is another day.
The armies of Hearthclin and Tirisfal will be marching into a massacre. Yes, sir, I should read that.
To ashes.
The armies of Hearthclin and Tirisfal are less than a day's ride. We ride with the light shining on our backs and the wind at our heels. Soon the Scourge will have to contend with the full might of the Scarlet Crusade. Yeah.
I will listen. For now.
Now for the second part of the plan. You're going to deliver this message right into the hands of High General Abendus. That's what the clothes are for.
There's work to be done.
This message must reach Abendus. We do not want to draw their suspicion. They must continue under the assumption that everything is going as planned. Don the clothes and go talk to her.
Tomorrow is another day.
Yes, I am one of the Scarlet Crusade. I like whipping my own people because that makes them better people somehow. Some of them aren't nearly as good, in my opinion, Lord Harriman. Like I said, I put Blood Elf at the top, but some of the other ones are just kind of... Let's go with that one. So the real answer for why Frostmourne didn't absorb Mal'Ganis' soul is plot. Nothing to add to that. It's plot. If I had to speculate, I mean, he isn't mortal, but he does have a soul. And there's nothing that really prevents Frostmourne from eating the souls of whoever. I don't know. It's entirely possible that Arthas didn't know how to operate Frostmourne yet. Because you have to do it deliberately, right? You have to kill, then yank. We actually see this on camera. This is something we visibly see happening. So it's entirely possible he was just like, didn't know how to do that yet. And so he just didn't grab his soul. But that is my explanation, not the game's. Oh my god.
Need help?
Where have you been? You're 2 hours late. We're about to send a courier out to the High Commander.
Have a good one.
Damn it. The armies of Harkland and Tirsfall must not reach New Avalon. The Scourge will slaughter them all.
See you around.
Listen well. The Scarlet Lands are lost. New Avalon and Havenshire are overrun by the Scourge. The specter of death looms overhead and threatens to overtake us at any moment. Return to him with this message. Turn your armies around and prepare your ships to travel for the frozen wastes. When we next meet, it'll be in Northrend. And give him this. It'll explain everything. The Scarlet Crusade is no more. Long live the Scarlet Onslaught.
Be careful.
Okay, let's read this book. Path of Redemption. The voice whispered, "Come to me. I am Mal'Ganis." From the very beginning, I knew it was the Holy Light speaking to me in my dreams. At last, after my years of prayers and good deeds, and the cleansing of the blight of the unliving from the face of Azeroth, after all the failures and resurrections, finally, it happened again. "Come to me," the light commanded. This time I woke up freezing, but it wasn't cold in my chambers. I'm going to redouble my efforts. I want the High Abbot tomorrow. I want prayers increased. No more half measures. The Holy Light has taken notice of our good work. I can feel it. This time I was awake. It was very vivid, and yet for over a minute, in the middle of a warm, sunny day, my breath came out misted and chilled. One of the priests noticed and dropped to his knees in prayer. No one else heard the voice, though. At least the witness proves I'm not going insane. Maybe I should ask Langdred on the matter? I'll get Jordan and Street to scrutinize their recruiting efforts tomorrow. We've been bloated with the ranks of unbelievers who yearn only to destroy the undead. That's not enough! The commander and the bishop were both receptive. Not that they had any choice. Bishop Street in particular seemed very enthusiastic. He spoke of a new crusade and swore to ferret out the weak of faith within our ranks. I told him to go easy. We're not destroying the crusade so much as forming an elite cadre of the most faithful to do the light's bidding. I fear the man's friendship with Alphonse is slowly twisting him. They both have their uses, though. Street's talk of a new crusade, however, has me thinking. I believe when this new force is assembled, I will give us a new name to be evocative of our new mission. Yet it will provide a tie to the past. I will pray with the High Abbot on this. Our prayers have been answered. The High Abbot was particularly moved by the force of the light's voice, its clarity, its sense of purpose. Those of us going north, the most faithful, will be known as the Scarlet Onslaught. And an onslaught upon Northrend we shall be. The cancer of the Scourge threatens to overflow the crown of the world and drown the rest of us. The time has come to fight directly at the Lich King's doorstep. Pause. The Scarlet Crusade are not exactly a minuscule level threat, but they were never at the tier of threatening the Scourge. Ever. I just want to make that very fundamentally clear to those of you not aware. The Scarlet Crusade... well, actually, there's a lot of lore to the Scarlet Crusade, but they're a bunch of kids with a loaded gun. The Scourge is a tank. It is with trepidation I gaze upon New Avalon. I somehow suspect for the last time. The fate of our cause lies in Northrend. I am filled with a sense of ominous foreboding for some reason. The mission ahead should shake us from these concerns. I will put them out of my mind. The Crimson Dawn is upon us. Yeah, the Scarlet have their own filter. Thanks, Mal'Ganis. Also, the Scarlet Crusade was founded by decent people for decent purpose, and then, within like a week, taken over by a Dreadlord. That would be Balnazar. Almost immediately after that, they fell apart and just got worse, because of course they did. But shortly after that, everything was fine forever, till another Dreadlord decided to use them for his own purposes. Yeah, the Scarlet Crusade are like the village bicycle. Thank you for the donation, Jay Palmer. As always and ever. Appreciate you. Oh, and I'll put that towards the usuals.
Make it quick.
What is this, some child's coloring book? What rubbish. They sell to their deaths. Let's turn our focus to the... I love how Orbaz hears all this news and word about the Scarlet Onslaught and Mal'Ganis, and his response is, bored now. We must prepare the encroaching armies. You will take what you have discovered to High Lord Mograine at once. I'll just open a portal. Go inside. Give them the thing.
Leave me be.
And ignore the layering that's about to happen. That's actually a pretty cool one, Lord Harrimont. I like that one. What's layering? Okay. So, alright. The easiest way to explain that is to just show it. Layering was something they invented... Phasing, I think they call it, but I call it layering. It's something they invented for Wrath. And they expanded upon every expansion since. So, take a look down there, right? Do you see that? Do you see all that? And do you see, like, the burning town? That's layer 2. Layer 3 is me saying thank you, Yura.
His eyes are upon you at all times.
Become an instrument of doom. We will ravage these approaching armies. The trap has been sprung. The armies of Hearthglen and Tirisfal have arrived, just in time to see their enclave in flames. If they turn back now, they fight with their backs turned. They have only one option with one outcome. Apocalypse. As we speak, they prepare to make their final stand.
We will scour the living from this.
Almost always layers happen at quest markers, but by Kata they got more expanse. Hey look! New layer. And that's what I mean. They get clever about hiding the layer changes happening, because they're happening around you. New races, like allied races that become Death Knights, have a completely different Death Knight starter zone. And by starter zone, I mean starter cutscene. It's like...
There is no light, only darkness.
It's like a 20-second cutscene, and that's it. I was really disappointed when I found that out.
Bow to your master.
I should write down Yura's thing real quick. Yeah, hi, you're a Death Knight. Bye. Go forth. The Street Fighter 6. Ringo Ishikawa and the Nestblow. You have served me well, Mara Frost. The mark of the Scourge has been burned into these lands. You have reaped death and destruction as far as the eye can see, and delivered to me the last of the Scarlet Armies. It is time to finish what you started.
You know what to do.
You have slaughtered legions beyond number, and still your dark heart craves more. Your hunger knows no end. There must come an end to all things.
Come to me, Crusaders. I will remake you.
The Scarlet Armies make their final stand against us. For them there is no escape and no choice, and for that reason they will fight with a ferocity you have yet to witness. Use the horn. And, well, now we have our third vehicle quest for this particular story arc. This one's a weird one. Because on the one hand it's like, yeah, but it's actually really easy to die if you're not paying attention. Hey look, his task is done. Oh yeah. Hang on. Gotta go eat a Crusader. So this is the problem with a lot of early vehicle quests. There's these weird down period times. Alright, who killed my bot? It was Trihexia. I knew it. Hang on. Let me fix that. There we go. Him. Apparently not, J. Palmer. This is another one of those quests that's a little bit less fun if there's a lot of players doing it. And yeah, the flying is a little bit weird because it actually tilts down. You can probably tell a little bit. A lot of vehicles do that. They're not actually level. I've never figured out why. Petty revenge, Lord Harrimont. Yeah, this quest at launch was just... I think that's why I have such bad memories of it. It's not actually bad in a vacuum. It's just, oh my god. Imagine being here for 30 minutes trying to kill these things. Thankfully, they respawn fast, but still. But yeah, Mal'Ganis is petty, like most Nothrazim are. Like, the Nothrazim have... Let's ignore the jailer for a second. The Nothrazim are very advanced magically and technologically, and they have the ability to polymorph at will. But they're otherwise really bad at everything else. And as strange as this is going to sound, I've actually always liked that. That they are so brute forcey that they kind of suck at their jobs, right? Like...
Come to me, Crusaders. I will remake you.
Like they're supposed to be this super amazing infiltrator race, but no, the only reason they're good at infiltrating is because they can literally polymorph. I mean, we all make fun of the, I accuse you, you found me out, but that is consistent. They are so consistent about revealing themselves if you accuse them at all. They're like, oh, are they good tacticians? No. The actual people running the Legion's armies are not the Nothrazim. Yeah, exactly, Kira White Noise. Like, it's an idea that appeals to me because it's true in a lot of things, even in real life. If you've got, like, an overwhelming advantage, then you kind of lean on it. And you get bad at it, right? You get bad at everything else because you don't need to be good. You've got that one advantage. Hi, fellow human. Have you thought about joining the Scourge? You know. Yeah, no, it makes them more interesting. Exactly.
Where is your light now, Crusaders?
So it makes sense to me that Mal'Ganis is so pathetic that he would actually think that grouping up the Crusaders and pulling up a new crusade to get revenge on the Scourge is actually a good idea.
Your will is not your own.
Kneel, champion. I place this helm upon your head to complete your terrifying visage. Any that dare look upon your dark countenance will know that death comes. Let none stand so boldly against your king as to face your merciless wrath. There only remains one final task. Light's Hope Chapel.
Slay all who oppose us.
The Scarlet Enclave is no more. What remains of the crusade will be dealt with in Northrend. We now turn our efforts...
Feast, my children. Feast upon the flesh of the living.
To Light's Hope Chapel. No longer will this affront to your master be allowed to exist. I have issued my final command. So.
Conquer in my name.
Looks like the battle is happening right now. Let's see how good our luck is with our timing in when we get there. I've done a lot of rejiggering and juggling with which characters do what and where. So a lot of characters end up being one side or the other because of another character that ended up being one side or the other, which ended up being that way because another character ended up being that way or another. For example, our Horde character for Wrath will be a Troll Druid. So it looks... Anyways, you know how kids and also adults will not do something specifically because you have told them to do it? So while I was up there, I was informing the littlest one that she needed to throw away her trash. So she said no, of course. I said, okay. So I took away her snacks and turned off her show. She threw a fit. You don't yell. You don't yell when a kid throws a fit. In fact, what you need to do is you need to get more patient and more calm. At least that's what I do. And so I said, no, I'm sorry. Until you throw away your trash, you can't have any of these things. And they usually have to take a moment to process that. So you give them a little bit more time, like another minute or two of just blah, blah. And eventually they're like, okay. Then she took her trash, threw it away, and I gave her snacks back. But that's why that took a minute. I do apologize. Yeah, the tantrum cannot have any effect, one way or the other.
We press on.
The High Lord has commanded the other Death Knights to prepare to strike.
We are done here.
The Argent Dawn stands defiantly against us at Light's Hope Chapel. They dare oppose the Scourge, and for that reason alone, they must be destroyed. Looks like we've already missed the event, actually. Yep, so we're going to be over here. The mighty armies of the Lich King stand at the ready as the final battle for the Plague Lands approach. Today we ascend into the immortal realm of Scourge heroes. When you're ready for battle, report to High Lord Darian Mograine. It is the High Lord who will initial the final march order and command our armies at Light's Hope Chapel. Oh yeah, and here's our final outfit. I like this armor. I've heard from several people they don't. Shrug. I have never once in my entire life in helping raise 3 separate children had to ever spank them or anything like that. Frankly, if you reach that point, then you've probably failed as a parent. Or as a caretaker or whatever. Ugh. No, it's a great set. I love it. And yes, this is probably the beginnings of what would eventually be scenarios. Kat have played with this idea too. I might just go ahead and advance the quest rather than sit here for like 20 minutes to wait for the cutscene to play. Yeah, it's over. I thought so. We might not even be able to advance it. Yeah, if you know anything about me, you know I have this no civilians rule. Children are civilians times 10, you know?
The life we had before is meaningless.
So that's a super no. Yeah, I think we actually just straight... So we actually have to wait. Great. Okay. Well. That sucks. Oh. Okay, reset just happened. That's actually good. No, they just were asking for a bit more breakfast, that's all. Or I guess lunch at this point. God. Apparently nobody else is even awake yet, so it's just me right now.
We exist only to serve him.
5 minutes. That's actually not that bad. So yeah, there's a thing at the top. 300 Light's Hope Chapel forces. 10,000 Scourge. Cool. How many Death Knights did Arthas make? I have no idea. Thousands, millions, billions, trillions, quadrillions, quintillions, decillions. I think we'll go with decillions. So let's go over our notes here. Let's see. So we have a lot of pluses for the Death Knight Starter Zone on the story axis. Gameplay-wise, like, we're getting there, but this is still firmly Wrath questing, which is still BC questing, which is still vanilla questing. So I didn't give that many negatives, but I did still give several negatives. I should go ahead and give one last one, actually, for just general jank, honestly. Like, even this upcoming cutscene is probably going to get a story negative. Why? Well, how many of you had no idea what was happening in the upcoming cutscene? Yeah, what's a Tyrion? Yeah, no, pure presentation negative. This is actually a pretty cool moment, and it serves as a bit of a fulcrum point in the story.
Soldiers of the Scourge, stand ready! Prepare to unleash your fury upon the arching dawn!
Yeah, pretty much, Kira White Noise. It's very FF14. We're effectively not even there. Also, an extremely important thing happens that nothing anywhere acknowledges. And in fact, it's such an important thing that canonically it's only ever happened to 4 groups of people. Hang on. 5, sorry. No, I'm right, 4. I'm right, 4. Happens to Uther. Happens to Sylvanas. Happens to the Ebon Blade. And it happens to the Forsaken. Also, that Forsaken one is an asterisk. We're not even sure about that one. So it might not even happen to the Forsaken.
The sky weeps at the glorious devastation of these lands.
Soul reclamation. Exactly.
Azeroth's futile tears will rain down upon us.
Now, thankfully, they make a bit of a big deal when it happens to both Sylvanas and Uther, because it should be a big deal. If I might be so bold, it is one of my greatest regrets that Warcraft has never delved into the absolutely fascinating concept of soul reclamation. Because, like, it's such a unique concept. Happy Thanksgiving, Ryman. It's still Thanksgiving weekend. It still counts. Like, as I've talked it out before, functionally, if your soul is ripped out of you, you are destroyed. You're dead from that point onwards. And then 2 new people are crafted, 2 forks. Then, if the soul is reclaimed and there's a remerger, those 2 people die and a new person comes into existence. That's functionally what's happening there. Memories carry over, but nothing else. And also, the new person, after the end of that whole chain, has all the memories of both previous people. Like, that's a fascinating concept, and they barely touch on it. It's one of the reasons I actually do like what they do with both Uther and Sylvanas in Shadowlands towards the end of Shadowlands, is because they recognize some of the potential of that plot point and poked at it. But unfortunately, all they did was poked at it. Poke, poke, poke. And then they pretty much immediately abandoned it and moved on from it. And it's like, but that's such a cool idea. Yeah, it's very Kingdom Hearts. That is true. And yeah, Shadowlands is the only thing that really did anything with this. So, you say that's the whole character arc for Anduin. No. So, Anduin never had his soul ripped out. Anduin was never killed. Anduin was dominated. And forced to do horrible things while being mind-controlled.
Soldiers of the Scourge! Death Knights of Acheros! Minions of the Darkness! Hear the call of the High Lord! Rise!
Honestly, yeah, Jay Palmer. That's the point. Anduin is facing trauma. One of the dominant themes of War Within is trauma. And mental health, actually. Weirdly enough. Yeah, and it's raining blood. I don't know why. Don't think about it too much.
Obey, or be eliminated.
So yeah, what Anduin went through was horrible.
Turn red with the blood of the fallen! The Lich King watches over us, minions!
Wow, those move fast. What the hell? What is with their move speed? Did you see that? Okay. Anyway, so I'm just gonna stand here and watch this. The biggest downside of this event is you don't actually have to participate at all. You just sit here and watch. On the one hand, I get why they do that, but on the other hand, it is a little disappointing. So we're just going to sit and watch.
Minions, come to my aid! You will do as I command! I am in control here!
So, the reason... I'll go ahead and explain what's going on, sorry. Mograin's screaming because, like, his sword isn't working. Ashbringer isn't following his orders, even though it should be.
You will do as I command! I am in control here!
That's why he's saying stuff like that. Oh god, I barely even remember the new Mournblade lore. I'm sure there was some, I just don't remember it.
What is this? I cannot strike!
So yeah, his sword is at the point where it's literally not working for him anymore. So Mograine is having issues. Ostensibly, the main reason is because this area is completely bathed in light energy. Problem is, we know with total certainty that light doesn't really affect the undead in particular in this setting. Light can affect certain things, but not undead.
Cannot! The blade bites me! Win, Darian!
However, what the light can do is convert. So this actually still makes a degree of sense, because what's happening is Ashbringer is being purified simply by being here. Notice all the light damage going out all over the place.
Bring them before the chapel!
So Tyrion shows up. He's from Vanilla. Don't worry about him.
Stand down, Death Knights! We have lost. Light. This place. No hope.
Have you learned nothing, boy? You have become all that your father fought against. Like that coward Arthas, you allowed yourself to be consumed by the darkness, the hate, feeding upon the misery of those you tortured and killed. Your master knows what lies beneath the chapel. It is why he dares not show his face. He sent you and your Death Knights to meet their doom, Darian. What you are feeling right now is the anguish of 1,000 lost souls. Souls that you and your master brought here. The light will tear you apart, Darian.
Save your breath, old man. It might be the last you ever draw.
My son.
Father!
My dear, beautiful boy.
What?
Father, you have returned. You've been gone a long time, Father. I thought...
Nothing could have kept me away from here, Darian. Not from my home and family.
Father, I wish to join you in the war against the undead. I want to fight. I can sit idle no longer.
Darian Mograine, you are barely of age to hold a sword, let alone battle the undead hordes of Lordaeron. I could not bear losing you. Even the thought...
If I die, Father, I would rather it be on my feet, standing in defiance against the undead legions. If I die, let me die with you!
My son, there will come a day when you will command the Ashbringer, and with it, mete out justice across this land. I have no doubt that when that day finally comes, you will bring pride to our people, and that Lordaeron will be a better place because of you. But, my son, that day is not today. Do not forget.
Touching. He's mine now.
You betrayed me. You betrayed us all, monster! Face the might of Mograine!
Pathetic.
You're a damned monster, Arthas!
You were right, Fordring. I did send them in to die. Their lives are meaningless. But yours... How simple it was to draw the great Tyrion Fordring out of hiding. You've left yourself exposed, Paladin. Nothing will save you.
It isn't portrayed well, Huthra. That's the point. That's why this is still a negative.
Apocalypse!
That day is not today. Tyrion!
Arthas!
Who?
What is this?
Your end.
Impossible. This is not over. When next we meet, it won't be on holy ground, Paladin.
Rise, Darian, and listen. We have all been witness to a terrible tragedy. The blood of good men has been shed upon this soil. Honorable knights, slain defending their lives, our lives. And while such things can never be forgotten, we must remain vigilant in our cause. The Lich King must answer for what he has done, and must not be allowed to cause further destruction in our world. I make a promise to you now, brothers and sisters. The Lich King will be defeated. On this day, I call for a union. The Argent Dawn and the Order of the Silver Hand will come together as one. We will succeed where so many before us have failed. We will take the fight to Arthas, and we will tear down the walls of Icecrown. The Argent Crusade comes for you, Arthas!
So too do the Knights of the Everblade. Although our kind has no place in your world, we will fight to bring an end to the Lich King. This I vow.
So I've already explained everything that happens here when it comes to the lore run. And there's actually a lot of moving pieces here. Here's the summary. Darian threw Ashbringer to for Tyrion. Tyrion is one of the most concentrated, light-focused paladins in the entire setting. So, he was able to finish purifying the Ashbringer. In so doing, he was able to bring the Ashbringer to bear against the second Lich King. And that did make the second Lich King pause. This is all fine, really, because what he really wanted was Tyrion. Again, remember, the Scourge's overall approach is and will consistently be the filter, right? So, getting Tyrion was his initial goal, but in the failure of that, he at least allows the Ebon Blade to go and be their betrayers, because the Ebon Blade will now drag the Crusaders, the Horde, and the Alliance up north, which is what he wanted anyways. Again, this isn't all, I was behind everything all along, but instead is just him kind of adapting on the fly to get what he actually wants. I should turn this in before they despawn, I just realized. Because they're going to despawn. And yeah, 300 people held off 10,000 just now. So, there's a logic. So the quest I just picked up was, the haze has been lifted. I can see as clearly now as the day I plunged Ashbringer into my own heart to free my father's cursed soul. We must take back Akros. By the way, I just feel like pointing out that this very man here will later have a dialogue bit where he mentions how he never even noticed how much control the Lich King had over him until it was actually removed. Remember, the second Lich King, and this is really important, excuse me, I shouldn't even say the second Lich King, the Lich King has total control over the undead, over the world, which means he's essentially giving you the command to be free-willed. Like, he is enforcing your free will by directive. I just think that's important to keep in mind. Anyways, quest. We must take back Akros from the Scourge if our order is to survive in this new world. I have taught you to call forth the Death Gate. It'll send you to Akros. Okay, let's do it.
We exist.
The Lich King has returned to Northrend, wounded by Ashbringer, but the second floor still holds the last of his armies.
The might of the Scourge will not be challenged.
The Hall of Command has been secured, but he left us a little present. Patchwork!
We will scour the living from this.
Here's a buff so you can actually fight against Patchwork. Our last boss from Noxuramas. Would you, like, not, please? Thanks. Oh, there's Patchwork. This should be interesting. I don't think I've ever done this completely by myself before. Oh, we're fine, we're fine. I have died to this fight before. Not the boss fight in Nox, no, this exact fight right here.
What happened to Patch?
Brilliant voice acting. Yeah, that fight can go badly. Could go badly. I really should use pass downs.
Ours is not to question.
Well done. The remaining Scourge have been dealt with in short order, and the rebuilding process will begin anew. I have but one task left for you.
His will be done.
We are now and forever will be Knight of the Heaven's Blades. But know this, you were once a hero of the Alliance. This game is a two-faction system because of stupidity and morons. Therefore, you must pledge yourself to one of these factions, even though it's extremely illogical that you would do so. Go forth and become a member of the Alliance. I mean, I would not want to be the Lich King as presented in this setting. Jokes and humor and, you know, whatever aside, that's not a good time. How did you have a banana on you? I guess I'll get on my mouth. Speed this up a little bit. So this is one of those quests that's like good and bad in equal measure. On the one hand, it's nice seeing all these people who are like, "Ah, Death Knights suck, we'll kill you." And they all have this dialogue, and they'll all throw fruit at you and spit on you and all kinds of stuff. But on the other hand, if a Death Knight wandered into Stormwind or Orgrimmar, the people probably wouldn't look at them and be like, "Ah, you suck." They'd probably launch the troops at them and try to murder them on the spot, you know? Oh, this will be weird. We're delivering this letter to Anduin. Anyways. Yeah, the problem is we're very obviously dead, right? And yeah, warlocks are kind of in the same bundle. I mean, for those of you who don't know where, warlocks literally have to hide in Stormwind in order to operate. Like, the warlock trainer was this random tavern which you have to go into the back door of, and then go down into the basement of. Yep, nope, there's Anduin. What do you know? Wild. Nice throne, Anduin? Actually a terrible throne. What in the world?
Sometimes we must fight.
You have mere moments to live.
Victory in the light. You are always welcome in
Stormwind.
Stormwind.
Read this here. O merciful king, may the light stay your hand and steady your heart. Hold your judgment upon this fallen champion, if only for a moment, and hear my words. The bearer of this letter is a former hero of the Alliance. PvP is amazing. Although he carries with him the stench of death and the look of the scourge, he has the soul of a champion, a soul that has only recently been reunited with the body. There it is. That's the only acknowledgement that we get for that. Marrow Frost represents a new united front against the Lich King known as the Knights of the Ebon Blade. Yes, the Death Knights have turned against their former master, because he led them. They are led by the son of Lord Alexandros Mulgrain, the Ashbringer. They seek what we seek, what we all seek, the end of the Scourge. I ask not that you accept him and the Knights of the Ebon Blade and the Alliance, only that you show tolerance. Remember, by blood and honor we all serve.
For the Alliance above all.
Frankly, this quest is far more interesting for the Horde, and if I could explain briefly why. Tyrion literally has some history with the Horde. It's stuff I'm not going to go into right now because this isn't a lore run, but there's an actual personal connection there. And it makes his letter have a little bit more oomph, because Eitrig is literally in the room. He's in the Orgrimmar throne room. Were it not for this letter from Tyrion, you would be in irons. Only an endorsement from one of the greatest paladins to ever live could ensure your survival. Really?
Safe journey to you.
Okay. Eitrig is still alive, last I checked. And yeah, we're delivering this to Anduin, who's in full armor. Keep in mind, at this point, canonically, he's pretty much a kid still. I can actually figure out the age if he gave me a few minutes, but nobody cares. And yes, his lines are copy-pasted. Where's... I don't get it till 27? What? Oh, I should also have the ability to fly now. So just for you, Lord Harrimont, let me get the best mount in the game out here. I can't remember what it's called. Look, her name is Vanquish. I just don't remember what the game calls her. There she is. No, that's the Tin Man. No, that's right, that's right. That's right, that's right. Also, over here. Grab one of these. Yes, that's a great game. Thank you. Thank you for all these tutorial 2 tips I absolutely do not need. I have played this game before. Thank you. Damn it. Oh yeah, I was actually there for Thrall and Garrosh fighting Mak'gora. Right up until the Scourge invaded. Hey, Chromie.
Haven't we done this before?
Yes.
Do not exercise restraint when showing your great power to the Scourge.
See you around, J. Paul. Get some good rest. Now, if memory is correct, we'll be doing Borean first, which means, yes, this wonderful section. This is a great little event, and the Horde doesn't really get an equivalent of this event. Do I love Chromie's acting? Yes. She sounds exactly what a gnome should sound like. As opposed to sounding like a Ferengi. That's the wrong mount. These are in the wrong position.
I have many lucky doos you like.
Our inventory real quick here. All this stuff. Does any of this... Come on. Take my crap. Take my crap. Oh my god, why does so much of this not have a vendor price? I mean, I know why. Don't answer that. It's so that I can be even more annoyed when I slowly rip all this stuff out of my inventory. Come on, go, go. Get out, get out, get out, get out. Get out, get out, get out. Get out of my inventory. I'm going to go ahead and shop here. We will go ahead and be starting the Borean Tundra after I come back from the lunch break, okay? I'll see you in a minute. I have to go deal with kid things.
Hi, stream.
You're too cute. No, don't eat me.
I ate your shirt off.
No!
And I